gonna put us live. I'm gonna put us live, and they're gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah, they'll just have to suck it up.
They're gonna have to deal with
it.
Yeah.
Take what we give them, right?
If they accept it, yeah. One kind of interesting thing about this episode is they get to see our facial hair journey over the last week. Since you were fairly clean shaven last week, I was like freshly clean shaven last week, and now this is what I got after a week, and it's actually growing a lot slower than I was expecting.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I've had a slight trim because I want to try and even it up. So I have had a slight trim, but nothing, not like actually cut it or anything or shaved or anything. Just a slight trim with the electric razor to just kind of even it all up. So when the beard goes in, it's going to be all right. That's it.
Yeah, I feel you. Hello everyone. Welcome to the pre-show today. You probably noticed that we didn't start out with a fun little quote from Jay like we often do. We're
just couldn't be bothered, guys. I'll be honest, just couldn't be bothered.
Yeah, Jay's having a pretty rough day, and I'm kind of lost in my own head today. So we're taking a pretty casual stance today. So I hope everyone's okay with that. Did I shave again? I did not shave again. I honestly thought that my facial hair grew faster than this because it always felt like it did, but apparently it doesn't. It's definitely there. It's just very short.
You look pretty clean shaven there. You look pretty clean shaven. Like mine's definitely come back, even though like this was all gone last week. It's definitely there now.
I definitely have some hair.
It's getting back.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm curious to see what it's going to be like a week from now. Shoutouts to Fizzkey for a tier 1 sub. Nice. 32 months. So one of the true OGs there as well. Thank you so much,
Fizzkey.
It's
huge. Yeah. That's awesome.
It is awesome. Rod27 says, "What's up, good people?" Just living the life.
Clearly he's talking to chat and not us.
That's true. Yeah, we're like mindless robots today. I feel it's gonna be an interesting show.
I'm gonna try and liven up the more I get through this coffee. But
same. Yeah. I got some coffee as well. and try to hopefully perk myself up. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But no, Hattie Potter, I did not shave again. I know it kind of seems like I might have, but hopefully next week I'll have a little bit more of the beard going on, because I'm still a little bummed out. It's just... Brad has an awkward teenager beard? Yeah. Jay's getting back to his usual look. Brian's still looking young AF. Yeah, I guess I got that going for me, at least.
Yeah, that's cool.
Could be worse.
Cool.
Oh, man. Heat Loss, thank you so much for that tier 1 sub, my friend.
Thank you, Heatlos. Thank you, man. We really, really appreciate all the sub support that you guys give us. Thank you very, very much. It's always a pleasure to see things like that in chat. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Rob confirms that he was talking to chat, but he says it applies to us as well. But I feel like that's just added on now. Like, because we've called him out on it, he felt like he hadn't had that on.
He's too nice. He's too nice of a guy.
Yeah.
He's too nice of a guy to tell us to F off.
Absolutely, yeah.
Disco Crocodile, thank you so much for that sub, man. Says, good day,
man.
Legends. Man, you're the legend, though.
Yeah.
You're the legend. Disco Crocodile is a fantastic streamer. For those of you that aren't aware, definitely make sure to go follow his channel, check him out. Yeah. I've been watching a lot. I've been lurking a lot in keyboard streamers lately. I haven't been like chatting a lot, but man, there's some good keyboard streamers out there these days.
Yeah,
Disco, Minterly, Alex Odos, Plume,
Alex Odos,
Stash.
Really
Yeah. Today we're gonna be checking out the set today a little bit later on the news doc that Alex Odos and Minterly collaborated on stream with. So that's gonna be kind of fun as well. That's kind of a fun, playful set.
Yeah, there is another one coming from Alex Odos as well that isn't on the news doc, but it probably will be next week because it's only been teased in the Key Company's Discord. But it's another Infinity set. I can't remember. It's called Ether or something like that, I think.
Sounds like something I'm interested in. Fantastic.
Yeah, I can't find it again now. I'm trying to look while we're streaming, but I think that'll probably be on the show next week. So I don't think the formal IC's got up for it yet, but I think it's coming soon.
Fair enough. You guys are still beardless? Jay's got some facial hair. Mine's starting to come back. Mine's starting to come back.
Yeah. Mine's getting there. Mine grows quite quickly though. It's
just don't look at me. It's really easy. Just avoid looking at me, and you won't ever have to worry. Just look at Jay's lovely face and stuff.
Maybe. See, mine grows quite quickly. You guys will remember from when we first started lockdown and how quickly my beard actually grew. It got bushy quite quickly, so it does take a lot of looking after usually.
I usually just let mine do its thing, and I try to trim it up here and there. I'm just too lazy for like daily beard maintenance most of the time.
Yeah, it's not daily beard maintenance for me either. It's usually weekly at the barbers. I'll go to the barbers and get them to sort it out.
Yeah.
Teki Tamura says, "Good morning, Jay. Yeah, it's 1:57 a.m. But we stream Top Clack this time every week. So you know.
Yeah, Jay's a hardened veteran at this point. He's a trooper.
Yeah, nearly 2 years in, 18 months in now.
Yeah, this has been the Top Clack time since we started August 2016. It's been Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific.
4 years nearly.
Yeah. Wow. I remember. It was interesting because when we started the show, obviously, it was myself, Bektor, who you might know as Apolitary, and Man of Interest, and myself, both on Pacific time. Bektor, Apolitary, lived in Japan. He was 16 hours ahead, give or take, with daylight savings time. So, yeah, he was often getting up, in the morning the next day as well. Not quite as early as you, but.
I think he'd been getting up at like 7 a.m. as you guys were starting to stream at 6 p.m. sort of thing. Yeah,
it's almost like a Top Clack tradition that like one of the hosts has to be like severely inconvenienced for the show.
Well, let's make it you next week. Let's stream it.
Oh, that sounds awful. Why would I want to be inconvenienced, Jay? Drink your coffee. Come on, what's wrong with you?
Teal Technic, thank you very much for the 7 months of subs, dude. Really appreciate those. You're almost at a Top Clack, baby. 2 more months and you'll be there. So thank you very much, dude. Really genuinely appreciate that.
Yes, thank you so much. Disco Crocodile says, Quakeums, how did the Top Clack name originate? There's actually like no good story on that, honestly. Huey and myself were both fans of Top Gear, the iconic car show. And it was just kind of a natural progression. It was kind of like an inside joke on, who the hosts would translate to if we were Top Gear hosts. So, like, I would be, the Jeremy Clarkson or whatever, and Hammond, Richard Hammond would be a politician. It was kind of just like a fun little thing. But yeah, I think Man of Interest was the first person to come up with the Top Clack name, I think. But I mean, it's been so long, I can't remember.
It has been a long time now. Has been a long time because I remember watching when it was you three guys and before I even was streaming at all and stuff like that, so it's a long time now.
It's kind of funny when we first started, I don't think we had a name. We kind of just like streamed and we just like talked about keyboards and just bullshit on the show, and it was all it was. And then we decided to name ourselves Mechanical Keyboards Live, which was kind of a fail because a couple weeks later
That's terrible.
Well, not only I mean, A, it was 2016, but like B, I mean, so we basically stole the name unintentionally. So there was already on YouTube, Ski with Pete from One Up Keyboards. He was doing a keyboard stream on YouTube called Mechanical Keyboards Live, and we like unintentionally stole the name. And I was like, oh crap, I guess we gotta change our name again. Man, yeah, those were the days.
Yeah, I've not seen Ski with Pete do a stream for a long time, but I do remember him doing like stab tutorials and things like that a long time ago. He
used to be like the streamer that everyone watched. I don't even know if he streams anymore, to be totally honest with you.
I don't even. Is his store still going? I mean, with it being US, I never order from some of the US stores.
I'm pretty sure One Up still exists. But yeah, Geo pointing out the 4K solder cam. That was kind of one of the. I don't want to say gimmicks because gimmicks kind of has a negative connotation to it, but that was like one of the features of his thing is he put a 4K webcam on his soldering iron, and he would solder boards like that, so you'd get like the up close and personal, soldering iron perspective. It was really interesting at the time, honestly. Oh man! All right.
Kajahata as well just subscribed for 6 months as well. It says ortholinear is best. That means that we have to ban him, right?
Instant
ban.
I'm
pretty sure that's the rule. Yeah, insta ban. Yeah.
I technically own an ortholinear board.
Really? Nice.
I technically own 2 ortholinear boards. I just don't.
Which boards have you got?
I just don't use them. I have a Prionic and I have a fully sealed Contra. Do you remember that project?
Nice.
The Contra. It's like a $30 4x12. It was formerly called the Dank.
Yes, and then they had to change the name.
Yeah, shout out to Keyboard Cartel or whatever they called themselves back then. That's some classic stuff, man. Anyways, that's enough rambling. We should roll intro and start the show.
We've done nothing but reminisce on this episode. It's been all the old stuff. Yeah.
Some people are okay with that, though. Some people probably want us to shut the heck up, and some people are okay with paying a little homage to the good old days. You know what I'm saying? All right. Sure. So, also, just a quick note, and I think this goes for Jay as well. It's kind of hot right now. Like, it's just very warm. I have my air conditioning running, so if you hear that in the background, I'm sorry, but it's like 80 degrees here right now, and that's just like really hot. It's even hotter in my room, I think. So I turned that on. So I apologize for that if you guys hear that in the background.
Yeah, I've got my fan on as well. So I apologize. It's like 24 degrees even at night here at the minute in my office, which is horrendous. Celsius, not Fahrenheit, obviously.
Like, man, you're really freezing out there, Jay.
Yeah. Is it a heated fan? Yeah.
Oh man, good old freedom units. Anyways, I'm gonna roll the intro. I love it already too. Sometimes it's just fun to be silly. Hello, guys. Welcome to this week's episode of Top Clack. I was very enthusiastic, Jay. Holy crap!
Yeah, I'm trying to drum myself up. Yeah,
you have more willpower than I do. I'm just gonna cruise.
I'm getting through the coffee. That's what it is.
I've only had a few sips of mine, so I still got a little ways to go. But welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this episode of Top Clack, and I am your host, Quakums, joined as usual by my lovely co-host, Jay, and we're going to talk to you about some keyboard stuff today. Our news doc today isn't terribly long, so we should have a pretty concise show for you today. It should go over quite well. Of course, as always, we will end the show with a Q&A, so if you have questions, hopefully we will have the proper answers for you. Make sure to save those until the end of the show. That is when we do the Q&A. That's when everything is all hunky-dory. Shout out to Tectonic Plate. What?
We have to answer questions?
No.
There's a quiz?
Well, not.
No.
We pretend to answer questions is what we do.
Oh, okay, pretending. Yeah, I'm good at that.
Pretending. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, so I already see questions in chat. Please save those questions for later, and we can get to them in a more timely manner. But shout out to Tectonic Plate 001 for the Tier 1 sub for 22 months. Thank you so much for that, my friend. Jay, how are you doing today? I actually know how you're doing today, but I want you to tell me how you're doing today.
I'm kind of in a grumpy mood, so I'm tired. I've got coffee, which is a good start, but I'm tired. I usually go to bed after the stream for a couple of hours, then get up and go to work. Today I can't do that because it's tax return day in the UK for businesses, and that means I've got to spend all day straight after the stream. I need to drive to my warehouse and spend the whole day going through paperwork and filing taxes, which is really, really, really something I'm not looking forward to. So I'm really grumpy because I don't want to do that, and I know I'm going to have to do it. So there we go.
Yeah, that's just how that goes. Super User 4, thank you so much for that Twitch Prime sub. Appreciate that.
16 months as well. Wow, that's huge.
Chuleta says, "Grumpy? Is this Grumpy Jay? Or this is Grumpy Jay?" Yeah, I mean, you've been like claiming you've been grumpy for a few weeks now, but I feel like you really haven't been that grumpy.
I put on a smiley happy face just for the stream, guys. That's what it is.
Wow.
No, streaming cheers me up a little bit. Once I get into it,
it's kind of fun, right?
Cheers me up, and I love doing this. I love doing the streams. You know, it's great. I wouldn't be here if I didn't enjoy doing it. So I am grumpy at stuff I have to do, not at stuff I'm doing right now. Put it that way.
Yeah. I totally feel you. So we actually don't really have much in the way of announcements today, so we're going to quickly roll straight into our news doc here. Actually, I guess one quick announcement, but I will announce it at the end of the show as well. I do have a build stream coming soon. I kind of failed on my HBCP build stream last, I don't remember what day it was, last Friday or Saturday, I think it was. The stabilizers wouldn't work with the plate. Tolerances just weren't lining up there, so that was very unfortunate. I wasn't able to build that there. So I got some new stabilizers in.
Was it C3 in carbon fiber?
Yes.
Yes. C3 stabs are really broad, yeah.
They are, and I did not know that. So I learned that the hard way, and people in chat during the stream were like, yeah, that's just how it is, and I was like, oh.
It is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that
interestingly, the thing that we're going to do going forwards on the group buys that I do for plates, I'm going to actually widen them specifically to fit C3 stab, because so many people are buying them these days that we can't not do that. So yeah, if you're making a plate file for a group buy or to buy one, make sure you account for that, guys.
Teha had the same problem with his HBCP build today. That's interesting. Yeah. I tried. Like, I was like, the stabilizer housings really are just so large compared to the other models. So they just wouldn't go in. I tested with some Cherry. It was tight, but I got those in. But I just didn't have enough.
Yeah.
So it was.
I mean,
it was.
The only thing I plate cows, it should just slide around the housing. But the C3 ones, they're almost a millimeter wider, which doesn't sound like much, but in terms of plate tolerances and keyboard tolerances, that's quite a lot of material.
Yeah, definitely. So in the next day or two, I'll probably be doing that build stream again, depending on when I get the lube in that I've been waiting on. I ran out of 205 grade 0, and I've been using that to lube stabs. This is kind of my preference these days, and I have to wait for someone to come in so I can lube the stabs the way I want. But once I have all that stuff in, I'm going to be building the HBCP on stream again. We're going to be taking another crack at it, and hopefully run into a brick wall this time that is C3 and carbon fiber.
Nice. And this is the HBCP that you're going to steal and send to me, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you. Send it to you. That's what I'll do.
Yeah.
Cool. I would never keep it for myself. Come on.
Right. Okay. I was going to say, because yeah.
Not me. C3 out of spec is the bigger issue, says Geo. Yeah, that's the way to look at it as well.
It is.
Why are they bigger?
So
why are they bigger?
I don't know.
Anyways, that's a discussion for a good discussion for another time, perhaps. But let's talk about some news, shall we?
Where do you want to start this week, Brian? What are you wanting to start us with this week?
Let's start out with kind of an pretty interesting board, actually. This is the interest check for the KK75. This is by John08099, who is of Velocifier. So if you're unfamiliar with who Velocifier is, they are an OEM, and they do manufacture some, or they do, I guess, vend some keyboards, depending on how you look at it. And they are kind of known for their very inexpensive keyboards. I actually do have a $30 Velocifier TKL in my closet right now, with the world's loveliest Zorro brown switches. Anyways, the idea was, Velocifier puts out a lot of entry-level, budget-oriented products, and this one is maybe kind of a crack at their more mid-tier potential product lineup. So let me just run off a few specs here, and we can talk about how we feel about this. So you're going to be looking at an aluminum housing here, as well as an aluminum plate. You're going to have a brass plate option, but it will cost extra. 4-degree typing angle, so pretty mild. Type-C PCB, but we don't really know if it's going to support QMK or anything else. Kind of unfortunate there. Custom name badge. So this name badge right here, you can put your custom text on, or you can leave it blank. And it is going to be top mount by the looks of it as well. And the starting price is going to be about $160 or $170. So potentially a really good price on a somewhat interesting custom. I mean, let's be fair, it's not terribly interesting, but the price is pretty attractive.
Yeah, I mean, and there's some really interesting things about the board as well, because if you look closely on there is a link to an Imager album, and there's an actual exploded view, which is a really simple exploded view, but it looks like the alpha section of the plate is actually different to the modifier section of the plate, right at the very bottom of this picture. So it looks like it's almost like a half plate design with the half plate being integrated, and then you've got a secondary plate just for the alpha cluster that then looks like it's top mount. Or sandwiched somehow between the top case and the bottom case. How that's done, it's not really clear from that particular image. But that is quite interesting, because we've seen people do mixed material plates before, we've seen half plates before. I don't think we've ever seen a half integrated plate and half top mount plate on a keyboard before.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting. Like, so let's just talk about this, because I'm a noob at something like manufacturing. Is this less expensive to do? Is this one of the ways they're saving money? What is the reason that you would do an approach like this?
I mean, to do an integrated plate is generally cheaper than doing another plate as well, because whilst you're doing the operation of the machining on the top piece, and you're going in and you're boring all of that material out, you just take it down to that level, and then you just do the pockets for each of the switch cutouts. That's generally a little bit cheaper than then going ahead and paying, say, laser boost for a
so more convenient, less machine time.
Yeah, to do it this way is kind of interesting though, where you've actually got that integrated plate at the sides, and then you've got a secondary plate almost that somehow attaches. It's not really clear from the renders how that attaches. I suspect that it's got you can kind of see on the exploded view there's some roundel tabs. I suspect it just kind of hooks onto those somehow, or they screws onto those or something. But it's an interesting take. One of the things I would be wary of is the seams where the two plates join. If you're typing quite hard or quite firm, or if there's a bit of flexibility with a PCB, or the PCB is mounted in a weird way, you might end up with those grating against each other if the tolerances aren't there to keep them separate. But it could be really, really interesting to see how that pans out.
It could be interesting. I'm a little skeptical on this, but you know, I'll reserve judgment for actually trying it. But I mean, they have some pretty interesting colorways here. I'm not going to read all of them off, but of course, it's pretty interesting colorways. And
lolly pink, right?
Yeah. Some people were commenting about that in the thread. I'm not going to go there, but you know, some of the colors actually do look pretty nice. And what do you think about the actual aesthetic design of this overall, especially for the price?
It's okay. I like the fact that the EFRA isn't. I mean, it's technically just about 75%, right? And
yeah.
It's a 660 with an EFRA, basically. I kind of like the fact that the EFRA isn't attached to the alphas. That looks nice. The badge reminds me of the meme board that Krelby did. I think you had one, Brian, actually.
I did it.
The badge acquisition just reminds me of that a little bit.
Yeah. No joke. The meme is one of the best boards I've ever typed on.
Nice.
I'm still
nice.
sad I got rid of it. But
and then
I can see the resemblance.
Yeah, and then the three indicator LEDs, I'm not really a fan of where they are, and I can't quite understand what you would need 3 for, because normally you have one for numlock, and you ain't got no numpad here. So, layer indicator maybe, don't know.
Yeah.
There's also no QMK support as far as I'm aware.
Presumably.
It will use. I think they said later on in the thread when I was scrolling through that they're going to use Velocifier's actual standard firmware. I'm pretty sure they said that. But the other interesting thing as well is there's no renders, no prototypes. So basically what they said, this is a small group buy. They've already hit their MOQ privately. I assume that's internally within the company. But it doesn't mention anything about having prototypes made. So it feels like this is going to be, you know, the group buy is going to be the prototype almost.
Yeah, I suppose it could be. Man, this is pretty interesting. I might have to get one of these just to try out if they are able to hit this target price point.
At that price point, with the kind of machine and the amount of material there and stuff, I kind of feel like the quality might suffer a little bit. It seems incredibly cheap for what you're going to get. But maybe the quality is good. But,
yeah, but I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to be amazing. It just needs to be good for $170, you know?
Yes.
That's kind of like the way I see it, because this isn't aiming to compete with your TGRs or your key colts and your lodestones and your stuff like that. Like, you know, this isn't supposed to be a super high-end product, but, you know, the plate thing does look pretty interesting, and, you know, some of the design choices aside, I'm not a big fan, but, you know, you can't really argue with the price, and, you know, hopefully it's pretty decent in that range.
Yeah. The only other thing I dislike is the fact that the blocker that separates the F-row is a completely different thickness to the vertical blocker and the blocker around the arrow keys. That throws my eye off completely. I do dislike that, but that's just a stylistic decision I dislike.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so that's the KK75, and there are more Ks going on here, apparently. This is the interest check for the KKINGKKONG 660 keyboard. This is by Chanmin Kang, who I always forget what studio he's actually with, but I know he's been doing quite a few projects recently. But yes, this is the I don't know if is it supposed to just be King Kong, or are you supposed to?
It's KKINGKKONG. Yeah.
What a name! All right,
I don't know. I'm making it up. I just think that's more fun to say. That's just more fun to say, isn't it?
All right, fair enough. You know, I'm not a fan of the name, but let's disregard the name for now. Let's talk about the actual board. So this is going to be another kind of, you know, slightly inexpensive, slightly more budget-oriented option, but maybe not quite as much so as the last one. So as you can see, looking at a 660 layout here, aluminum housing. The PCB is going to have USB Type-C and support QMK, so that's nice there. You're going to have a couple finishing options available, as well as for colors, but you're also going to have Cerakoting or anodization, depending on what finish you want to go with. You're going to have standard or wind keyless blockers, and a universal plate, which I'm not a big fan of, but I can kind of see why they went with that here. They want to try to get a lot of people into this. It's kind of the price point they're targeting here, about $240, so it's not super cheap, but it's not super expensive either. It should be pretty enticing for a lot of people. Fairly simple design, as you can see here. Not a whole lot going on. But if you're a fan of the 660 layout, this could be for you. Also, I think I just saw the return of Mothra behind you.
There is a big moth in the room again. It's that time of year, and I've got the window wide open. You guys can't see it. It's just literally off screen there. I've got the window wide open, and the lights. It must have come in for the lights. But yes, there is one.
It's like an Easter egg for the viewers. I feel like they can watch the moth attack you during the stream.
Yeah, I've been watching it. You might see my eyes go like this because I'll see it and it'll just come in front of me. Couple of things about the board. So I think this is kind of interesting. There's a lot of things I like and there's some things that I dislike about this. So first of all, I think it's 660 keyboard. Lots of people like that layout. It's kind of common now. We see a load of boards running in this kind of layout. I think we've seen multiple variations of the Clue board. There's the Royal 66, the Sakura 660. There's loads of these 660 boards out there now, and I think that's a good thing. I think it's a good layout. I don't think it's a terrible layout. In terms of the board itself, it looks very simple to machine, very nice and easy to produce. It should be repeatable in terms of quality. I kind of like that they've gone and kept the seam in there and actually put a chamfer around the edges, so the seam is more pronounced. I kind of like that.
I like that too.
Hiding anything really raw and honest. It's it's not trying to make it perfect or anything like that. USB-C. I like the kind of side profile view. I think that looks great. It reminds me of the old KMAC boards. I'm not a huge fan of the kind of curve on the back edge. It kind of distracts me a little bit. I don't see why that's there. It doesn't really feel like it's needed, and it also makes those vertical screws, be difficult to align them and put them in and everything else. I kind of don't see the point of that. There's also one version, or at least one version, that has a blocker on it as well. If you look at the 3 boards, there's a pink version that's got 2 tiny little 0.125 blockers. They're tiny little things. I'm not a fan of that. They look too fragile, and I'd be worried about breaking them or bending them or snapping them off or whatever. I'm not a fan of those. I think they should go. Colours look good. That pink looks stunning. I genuinely think that pink looks great.
I was at war with myself before the show. I couldn't decide if this was a terrible pink or a fantastic pink for me, obviously. Because I think I really like it too. But I wasn't sure. I'm actually curious to know, because to me, this looked kind of like a color that a lot of people wouldn't really care for, but I kind of dig it, to be totally honest. I like all the colors that they're kind of showing off here, personally.
Yeah, the blue's nice. The white, everyone likes a bit of white, a white keyboard these days. Silver's great, a really common color. The red looks okay. It's probably the worst of the colors in my view. But yeah, that pink looks great. As long as it doesn't have those little blockers on, I think it'd be good. In terms of layout, the support, there's plenty of options there. So you can split backspace or have full. You can have ISO enter, and you can split the right shift. A couple of different options for the bottom row. You can only use 7U if you want the 2 blockers in there. You have to use, I think it's a 6U if you don't want those in. And you can have stepped or unstepped caps lock. Now, the plate also suggests that you can split or have full left shift, but it doesn't show that on the supported layouts. So I'm not sure whether it actually only supports US ISO or if it actually supports full ISO capability. So that is to be clarified, and until we see some pictures of PCB, I'm not sure we'll know that, or until they answer it directly. But other than that, I think for the price, this looks pretty good. This could be a great starter board for someone. It feels like it's a good option.
I mean,
no complaints about this.
Yeah, I mean, $240 isn't terribly hard to swallow for a lot of people in this hobby, and I can see this being a nice kind of starting custom for a lot of people that doesn't entirely break the bank. I don't like the universal plate, but I understand why they're doing it, and the trade-off is you do get a lot of layout support, including ISO, so that's pretty interesting as well. I'm not in love with these teeny tiny blockers. I gotta agree with you, Jay. I think if I went this route, I probably would forego the blockers, maybe, but that bottom row looks kind of strange as well to me. But I mean, as far as the board is concerned, I do think it looks all right. I think for the price, it seems quite reasonable, and I fully agree with you on this this seam. They're not trying to hide it, and it makes it that's like part of the actual design philosophy. That's like such a gripping feature of the board to me now that I just can't see anything else now when I look at the board. I love it.
Yeah, they also have a really special edition of the version of the board, Brian. I'm not sure if you saw this, but if you scroll really far down in the thread, so you have 37 replies down, so it's almost at the bottom of the page. They posted this on Sunday, so just keep scrolling down. There you go. You just
found
go
it.
past it.
Oh,
A mother of pearl inlaid version, which is very interesting.
wow.
So
What?
if that's something up your street, and they've also got a beige cerakoted one, which looks really plain next to that mother of pearl inlaid one. But yeah, that's interesting. If that's your kind of thing, maybe you like that, maybe you don't.
That's really cool. It's a little too intense for me, but that's super cool.
It's all handmade as well. So all of that kind of design and everything else, it's all been handmade. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's going to be part of the group buy. I didn't see any mention of it, but it's kind of cool that they've customized one to such extreme lengths.
Yeah, so I don't even mind the beige one, honestly. I think the beige kind of looks
The
kind of
beige
nice
looks
too.
really nice.
It looks pretty good as well.
Yeah, we're so boring, Brian. There's this one that's all multicolored and full of all this.
I know. We are so boring.
And there's like a beige one. Oh yeah, we'll take the beige. Yeah, give us a beige. Yeah.
Are we keyboard boomers, Jay?
I think we are, mate. Yeah, I think we are.
Cheers to that, I suppose.
Interesting enough as well, they're also producing a lot of these parts already, so I think they're expecting the group buy to go quite well. But there was a picture later on in the second page of the thread where there was about 40 or 50 of these boards already ready, and as well as the pink colour, there's a very nice lilac colour there as well, so I'm hoping that makes the group buy.
Yeah, definitely. I think there was a picture. They had all the brass plates done preemptively. I think it's being done in Korea too, which is kind of cool.
It is, yeah, which is really nice. Yeah, and it's the guys. I think you said at the beginning you couldn't remember who.
I can't. I can never remember their studio name.
The DGL TKL.
Yeah, that was their most recent one.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So there you go. That's the KKINGKKONG 660, guys. Please adopt that name. And now let's swap over to. I think this might be another one that us boomers like, Jay. So this is the Saturn 60, a high-profile, sort of a bent steel affair, and man, is this a chonker? This is quite a chonky boy. So this is a real prototype, and there's a couple interesting things going on here. So let me just tell you a few things here. So a bent steel housing. In plate, presumably, I think the plate might be in other material as well. It is going to be gasket mount. We're not 100% sure how yet, but he does claim that it will be gasket mounted. 7-degree typing angle. It has a handle! Guys, it has I think it's an aluminum handle, but it has a handle! I think that's really cool. I love that. Possibly the coolest thing about this, the price. They're looking for as low as about $125 to $175. And as we've seen in the past, bent metal cases can offer a lot of value. I'm super interested to see how this goes, because this is like kind of silly and over the top, but I kind of like that too. It has a lot of charm, has a lot of personality, a lot of character, especially this one with the ortho layout and the kind of the red and white DSA caps. I really like this.
Yeah. Okay, so I like the style. I like the fact that the first one's a homemade project. I'm not sure it's something I would be comfortable selling because of the. I mean, if you look at the prototype, you can kind of see there's a lot of gaps and stuff there. It doesn't feel refined. Now, I'm sure they're going to go through that process. I'm sure they're going to refine it. They said that the prototype they have didn't come from the machine shop they're going to use, but the machine shop they are going to use bumps out millions of parts a year. So I'll be interested to see how that goes. It does look much nicer once it's painted, but I kind of like that raw aesthetic. So if they get the fitment of the case right and they get the raw aesthetic, I think that'd be quite nice. There is quite far down the thread as well. There is kind of like an exploded view. It shows how it's 3 parts that fit together. I think, or 2. Yeah, 2 parts that 2 case parts, and then a plate that's mounted inside. Now, the interesting thing about the plate is that the plate is actually bent steel as well. It's not just a flat plate that's then mounted somehow. It's also a bent piece that then is going to be gasket mounted. So what I assume is it's got 4 screws in the corner off the sides of the plate. There's going to be some sort of rubber or plastic or something like that underneath there, or foam or something like that to give it the gasket feel. I'm kind of not fussed for that. Just bolt it on at that point. If you're going to go to the whole
no, I disagree. You got to go crazy here. I think the gasket is so silly and wild. I have to have it. I have to have it.
Yeah, maybe kind of just. Yeah,
it's kind of stupid. Like that's the whole point, is that it's like over the top. I mean,
if you want to talk about over the top, the Fat Boy that we talked about,
the Fat Boy is super over the top. You're right. The Fat Boy is way more over the top than this. This is just like, this just has charm. It has personality. It's different, and I like that. And also, it's not very expensive.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Syntax has got this.
Who else would gasket mount this monstrosity? Come on.
So the one thing that this does need, I was going to say this as well, but Syntax is speak me to the punchline, is this needs a solenoid inside it just to be as obnoxious as hell. So you get every time you type on it.
People have to be aware that you're using this board. This needs to be the center of attention always.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Why not put some just horizontal buttons? What
if this sounds and feels amazing, Jay?
If is a very small word, but it has a huge meaning. I think this is a cool personal project. I'm not sure it's going to have massive appeal to the mass market.
No. Oh God, no. No, it's not. Absolutely not. But it really is pretty cool. You gotta admit, it's pretty cool. It's got a handle.
Stick a Raspberry Pi in it. Absolutely. I mean, that changes it entirely. Stick a Raspberry Pi in it, that changes it.
Yeah, totally. It's cool. I agree with you though that it seems very unrefined. I think this is kind of a poorly done prototype, if I have to be completely honest here. But if they do kind of revise that and the final production units do turn out a lot better, then I think this definitely has potential, especially if they hit that target price point at $125. I'd have to pick one up just for the meme. You have to buy one just for the meme, I swear. At that price.
Do you know what would get me interested in this? If this wasn't like bent steel or aluminium or whatever they're going to use.
If it was like a $600 like CNC case,
and it was like $1,000, then this is where we're very different, Brian. You're all about that.
I couldn't buy it. I wouldn't be able to buy it. I'd be like, that's cool, and I would write it off. But like this, I can afford.
If this was machined from a solid billet of aluminium, I would probably be more inclined to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly wouldn't be sub $200. But it would be something. I'm really interested to see.
More than that, just the material cost.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what kind of gasket mounting style he's going to wind up doing here, because this plate is pretty interesting. I also dislike the universal style of it, of course, but that's just, I'm a broken record on that. Look at that bottom row. Look how open that is. That is insane. But it's understandable. Yeah. This user is actually fairly new to the community, and this is kind of his first project. And as you can see here, he's using a standard layout anyways. So that's just
could be his preference. It reminds me of those old boards that people used to get out of power stations and things like that you used to see that come off eBay a little bit every now and again. And them old industrial boards from like the 60s and 70s when they had these old massive switches in there and stuff like that. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, totally. It's fun. It seems fun to me. That's where I'm leaving off with this. And I mean, if they hit the target price point, I'll definitely pick one up.
Yeah, stick SA nuclear data on it. That look good. That look good.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Nuclear data. I don't like that set. I get the appeal. I don't think it looks very good.
Yeah, it kind of has that whole retro theme to it. You could rust off the metal surface and put nuclear data on it. That would be great.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
See, right, it's like a blank canvas. Like, you can get really creative with stuff like this, too. Like, the finishing, sticking a Raspberry Pi in there, solenoid. Like, there's so much you could do with something like this. It's just fun. This is the kind of stuff I like to see. It doesn't always need to be super high-end, fancy customs, in my eyes. Sometimes you just need bullshit. And I like bullshit sometimes. Alright, so, anyways, let's go ahead and move over to some key sets. And we're going to start out with this one, which has garnered quite a bit of attention already. So this is the interest check by Rensuya for GMK Moomin. And I will give a full disclaimer here. I have never even heard of the franchise before this interest check went out.
You're missing out.
I do plan to go watch it, because I have had a few people recommend it to me now, since we've been talking about it a little bit more. But yeah, if you were a fan of Moomin and you're all about Moomin, then this could be the key set for you. And I gotta say, even though I haven't seen the source material, the key set does look very, very pleasing.
These pastel colors are really nice. They work really, really well together. I do genuinely have a soft soft part of my heart for this key set and for the source material as well. I kind of, when I was growing up as a kid, this was kind of on the TV, especially when my little brother was growing up as well. Yeah, the Moomins were huge at one point. So yeah, I remember them fondly. Remember watching the TV show. I even had like a soft toy at one point, I think, or maybe it was my brother's. I can't recall. But yeah, I think this is good. And the colours really work together. It's kind of subtle, but it's kind of clean and crisp at the same time.
Yeah,
it's very soft, very pastel-y. I think this works really, really well. And the fact that it's officially licensed is so cool. The fact that they've got the rights to use the characters and the images and everything else from the show, that's really, really cool.
Yeah, fully licensed, big plus. And though I've never seen the show, just based on the thread, I'm very, very interested to watch it. It does seem like a very kind of chill, calming, casual, kind of relaxing, vibing kind of show. And I'm totally cool with that. And I think the colors he picked kind of reflect that quite a bit, too. We have a series of whites with a soft gray. And honestly, it's lovely. It's very pleasing.
Yeah, it's really nice. There's 2 desk mats as well. I'm not so much of a fan of the character around the outsides with the waving arms. I do really like the second one though, showing Moomin himself, his girlfriend, and one of the other characters. That's a really nice, gentle scene from the show, and it's just that works really, really, really well, and it's really well designed. So I do really like that second desk mat. I will probably pick that up. I'm definitely going to pick the key set up. A little bit sad that there's no UKI, so that base kit covers so much. I mean, there's accented keys for pretty much everything, for both the enters, the arrows. You've got an additional accent color for the ANSI enter and the escape. You've got steps, capsule control. You can fit out ISO. You've got a 2U shift if you want to do that weird bottom row that you see on the GK64s. You can do 7U bottom row. You can do HHKB. You can do full size TKL. There's so much in there. There's a ton of compatibility in there. Like I can't think of anything that you couldn't cover with that, apart from like an auto and things like that. But any
apart from the UK ISO.
Well, yeah, but you can still cover them. It's still basic ISO, right? So
it is a very full featured base kit. All things considered,
it's a great base kit. Yeah, it's a great base kit. I think it's great, and the novelties as well.
Yeah, I was about to say, how do you feel about the novelties? Because to me, not knowing anything about them, they look really nice.
Yeah, so Moomin, the character himself on the top 3, looks really good. It's really reminiscent. The Moomin text as well works nicely. I'm not quite sure. I don't recall what the creature on the other ANSI enters is. Kind of sad that there's no ISO novelty enter in here. We've seen some really good ISO enter novelties recently. I'm kind of sad that there isn't one here for this. The other characters look pretty good. The spacebar. Now, the spacebar is really interesting. I'm going to assume that this is going to be pad printed, because as far as I know, GMK don't have any molds to do double shot spacebars, and as far as I know, they've never have done a double shot spacebar. So I assume they're going to be pad printed, but as we all know, the GMK's pad printing is exceptional. It lasts for a really long time. I've got a key set that I used every day for a whole year, and you can't even tell. The set's gone shiny, but the pad printing is still there. So if those spacebars are pad printed, I think they'll hold up pretty well.
Yeah, man, this set looks good. Okay, so I don't mean any disrespect, of course, but what kind of animal are they supposed to be? Is it like a hippo?
They're just Moomins. That's the
is
name.
That like the animal?
Yeah,
Okay.
As far as I remember, they are Moomins, and the lead character is a young boy Moomin called Moomin, and all of the others have kind of got variations on them. I think his mum's called like Moo Mama and things like that, so they've got Moo Papa and things. It's European, so it's weird. It's fine, whatever. But yeah, it's just a really nice, gentle, easy to watch kids show. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Heck yeah! I mean, even without knowing the theme, the set's nice enough for me to want to pick up on the spot, possibly even with the novelties. So,
there's I didn't see this, but there's going to be a Nordic kit as well. That's good. Hopefully, I'll get my UK keys in that. Excellent.
Nordic kit, huh? Okay, fair enough. Well, aside from the base and novelties kits, there are a couple more. Accent kit here, which presumably is just your space bars by the look of it, and a micro kit, which is a fairly cut down 40s kit, but of course it will give you some 40s compatibility there if that's your thing. And we already talked about the desk mats a little bit. Fully agree with you there, Jay. But man, I just want to look at these renders for a while because these are so freaking pretty on that Chimera.
Yeah, the board that I think it looks better on is the Adderley. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
It looks stunning on that board. It looks so good on that. Really, really works there really well.
These renders are super good. Who did these? Does Rensuyi do his own renders?
I don't believe so. I don't know who did the renders. Did it say?
I don't know.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, it usually says.
Abex 13 did the renders.
Abex listed.
It looks like, yeah.
Oh, look at the box art. That's cool.
Yeah, that looks like almost a scene from the cartoon, actually.
That's really cute.
It wouldn't surprise me if they've got a lot of this art directly from the company that owns the rights and things. So, yeah, looking good.
Nice. Yeah, fully licensed, too. You gotta love that. You love to see it. So, good stuff.
Yeah. I do wonder what that's going to do to the price. I don't know if prices have been announced yet. I can't see them in the
a lot of people paid $225 for the Boba Fett set, so maybe people are okay with paying a markup here too. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, damn! For that base set with this kind of theme and the fact that it's officially licensed, I'd pay $200 for it any day.
I'd probably. Yeah. I don't know if I'd be value happy about it, but I'd probably still pay $200 for the base kit as well. I'll have to try to find some like a Blu-ray box set of the show or something. Have they done any like remasters or anything?
I have no idea. I haven't watched it since the mid-90s, but
oh boy,
yeah, it brings back a lot of fun memories. I remember it being on TV quite a lot.
Yeah. All right, cool. So yeah, we'll have to wait for this one. Hopefully this comes out pretty darn soon and we could check out the price. So looking forward to that one. Something a lot of people might be looking forward to is Laser Round 2. So GMK Laser, whether you love it or hate it, the point still stands that it's one of the most popular and highest selling GMK sets to date. And
I say I dislike it, but I have a book with it on right here. So
I mean, yeah, fair enough. I don't own it, and I don't really like it, to be fair. But I like a couple of the options that he's gone with this time. So obviously this is his kind of official kind of teaser page. But similar to last time, we have a lot of the same suspects. So if you liked the run last time, you'll probably like it again here. Base kit coverage looks fairly standard for a GMK drop set. I feel like they kind of have their own standardization process there for base kits nowadays, especially for a lot of the stuff that Mito does. But, if you like that, that could be your thing. They also have a Synthwave M170, which is kind of like, Mito kind of has this thing where he likes to run two base kits, one that's a little bit more simple, often monochrome, one that's a little bit more, thematic and, the overarching, big hit. But I gotta be honest, I kind of prefer the Synthwave on this, just because I don't really care for the laser colorway. And as you can see here, there's tons and tons of kits, so regardless of what you want to cover, you're probably going to have it. And you have lots of different options as well. You're still going to have the Gaijin Alphas this time around, so that's the Latin plus the Hiragana Sub-Legend. You're going to have the Kobe kit, which is the Hiragana Mono Legend. Or is that Katakana? Oh, it's Hiragana, I think. Sorry, guys, I'm kind of blind. But, so yeah, you're going to have the Kobe kit still. You're still going to have the BlockNet option, so a lot of the suspects returning again. You're going to have a pretty sizable novelties kit, as well as a separate novelties kit called the Turbo kit. Lots of extras. There's an ISO kit here as well. Lots of stuff. You're going to be able to cover pretty much everything. What makes this really kind of interesting, if you scroll down the page here, what's this? A Nike collaboration?
Interesting, yeah. I mean, we have seen collaborations with clothing manufacturers before, and I think Mito's done a few T-shirts and things before, but have we ever seen a big brand like Nike?
A Nike collaboration with keyboard seems pretty odd. And obviously it wouldn't necessarily be the first crossover, since we do have Hyperfuse, obviously, a Nike colorway, but we borrow that from Nike. We don't, collab with them on that, but Nike, love them or hate them, it's an enormous brand. And this could be a really interesting thing for our community, and it could get more people involved.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that goes. I'm not sure if it's... I mean, he says it's exclusive Laser React, so it seems to be themed around the key set. It seems to be that, that he's worked on it with them, so I'd be interested to see how that one pans out. Whether the vendors are going to sell the shoes alongside the key set.
Yeah, that's...
To Nike for them.
Well, I mean, it's Drop, right? Drop's a multi-million-dollar company. They've been selling, not only keyboard stuff, but apparel and everyday carry stuff for years now. So this is totally within their wheelhouse to do, and wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities. So really kind of curious to see how this goes. I gotta be honest, I probably won't buy a pair just because I don't really care about the colorway personally.
I don't know. There's a lot of sneakerheads in the community, though, right? So maybe,
yes, exactly. That's another point.
One of the interesting things as well is that he does say what right at the very top. There's a what, which is GMK Laser Round 2, a global vendor which says drop, a Euro vendor which is to be determined. When and collabs. So it looks like we're going to get a European vendor for this one as well, which will please people who in Europe don't like to use drop because of the extortionate shipping and other issues that happen with drop shipping to the EU as well. So that could help.
Yeah, so if you guys are into laser and you missed out on the first time, well, here you go. You're going to have lots of options for it this time. I kind of want to pick up the synthwave, to be honest.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly the same thing. I want to pick up the synthwave. I just realised the ISO kit doesn't cover the synthwave colours. It only covers the standard.
Yeah.
So there is so I won't be getting that. There is no ISO coverage at all for the synthwave kit. Shame.
Kind of a bummer, but that's how it goes sometimes. So there you go, guys. We don't know when it's coming. It's coming soon, with zeros, apparently. And Nike collaboration confirmed, and it will run on drop. So there you go, guys.
It's interesting. Yeah, Nike and drop.
It's very interesting. All right, let's move over outside of GMK over to Infinikey for a second, because this is the interest check for Infinikey Blacklight. This is a relatively simple set, and if you're familiar with blacklights, then this probably will feel pretty familiar to you. Kind of I don't know, kind of just a black and
I've seen CSI.
Kind of
I know what blacklight is.
Yeah, exactly, right? So nothing terribly out of the ordinary for you there, but you might notice something very out of the ordinary with the font on the legends. So very, very interesting here on the base kit at the very least. There's going to be a more standard, what he's calling the Roman Alphas kit here, if you want the more standard Latin alphas, I suppose. But if you're more into something a little bit more creative, then here you go. How do you feel about this one?
Right, okay, so first and foremost, I like the colours. The colours remind me of Vice Knights and a couple of Tokyo Knights and all of those kind of key sets we've seen before in GMK. But we haven't really seen those colours in PBT before, and that's for two reasons. One, PBT colours tend not to be as bright because it's a dye sublimation process, and two, because it needs reverse dye sub to be able to do it. So the fact that we're actually going to get one of these key sets in PBT is pretty good to me. And to be honest, I kind of like the colours. I'm a bit of a sucker for dark sets with bright legends. You know, I can't deny I am. I'm not so much a fan of the font, but I do really, really like it if you sub out the Roman Alpha kit. I think it looks really, really good at that point. I'm a big fan of it at that point.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I think I like the more traditional Roman/Latin characters or whatever in the base kit. But hey, that's just me. I kind of like that he kind of went out of the ordinary here and took a swing for something kind of wild. And you know, obviously, it wouldn't be the first time Infinikey's done something like this, because we had what was the Diablo set, Sanctuary Rebirth.
Sanctuary, yeah.
You know, that one had some pretty unique legends as well. So at least with Infinikey, people can get pretty creative, and it's kind of nice to see people take this approach. With that said, I gotta agree, I'm not really a fan of these particular ones either, but I'm glad that people are getting more creative with it, and at least there is this kind of Latin alpha fallback if you happen to prefer that a little bit more. I agree with you on the colors. They're simple, but they're nice. There's nothing terribly wrong with them, I don't think, and they're not exciting me to the ends of the earth either. They look fine. It looks like a fine GMK set, or sorry, Infinikey set.
Yeah, I'm just not sure how that font relates back to the theme of Blacklight. I think I get the colours. The colours are absolutely hark back to that kind of theme. That really works for me. I like, as I said, dark set with bright legends. I'm just not sure about those alternative fonted alphas. It just doesn't quite gel for me, especially when the modifier keys don't have anything different. They're just standard font.
Yeah.
And the F key, well, it kind of doesn't feel.
It feels a little mismatched. With that said, being an Infinikey set, we do have a pretty vast base kit, and we can expect that base kit to probably be in the $80 or $90 price range, so not terribly expensive. Then they have this add-on kit. This one usually costs around $30-ish, I think. So that one's not too bad either. You get a couple text novelties in there, as well as some picture novelties too. Those are all pretty nice. Psychedelic, yeah. I mean, it's that like rave kind of vibe, right? That kind of like 90s.
Yeah, it's
that,
exactly
like,
what it reminds me.
Yeah,
Of
like it's
rave stuff, yeah, from the 90s.
yeah, I think that's what he's going for, and I think if that's the theme that he has in mind, I think he did a pretty good job here. And I mean, it doesn't seem terribly interesting, but it seems fine. It seems like it'll do well enough as an Infinity Key set.
Yeah, I'd change out the alphas and
yeah,
probably drop ones, but other than that, I think it's fine. Yeah, I like the colours enough that I'd probably pick up the base kit, if not the other kit as well. I don't know. We'll see.
Certainly. All right, let's go ahead and move over to. We have quite a range of profiles in the interest checks for key sets this week, Jay. This next one up here from. Yeah, exactly. It's nice. We don't always need GMK, I promise, guys. All right, so this is the interest check for KAM Ocean Front. So this is a really kind of interesting set because there's a couple kind of strange things going on here. So the first thing you might notice, and I'm gonna try to find a render that like really shows it off. Some of them kind of do, but you might notice on the left side here, it's KAM profile, obviously. You're gonna get the glossy KAM. So you guys remember someone like KAM Starry Nights that has that glossy, very slick, shiny finish to it. That's what you get over here. Now, if you look to the right side of the board, the right side of the base kit here, that is matte textured PBT. So you're going to be typing on two different textures here, wildly different, I might add. How does that make you feel?
I mean, I get where it's coming from. The theme, the whole kind of theme is that you're at the beach. It's the waves washing up the coast, you know, onto the soft sandy beach, and you can see that it gets more sandy as you get across the border. Some people like gradient sets, some people don't. We've never had gradient textures before. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Like it's always really obvious to me if I'm using a well-used GMK set that's kind of like, you know, smooth on the WAS and D, and the rest of it's still got you know, a bit of texture to it. I always really notice that, and I can always really feel it. So this probably wouldn't be for me, although I don't dislike the way it looks as a gradient set. I think it looks okay. It's definitely not something I'd consider buying, but I mean,
I think the colors are fine. The colors are fine. The theme he's going for, obviously, is oceanfront, so he's kind of going for, you know, an aquatic water theme as well as the sandy beach thing. And it kind of, you know, it's like the tide or whatever, you know. You have kind of a little bit deeper water over here. It's shallower over here. Then you're starting to get into the wet sand and the drier sand as you move over to the right. And, like, I get it. It's a really fun, playful idea. Honestly, it is, mixing the textures like that. But as someone that has used both the KAM PBT matte as well as glossy, I would say that they are wildly different in feel, and while you might be able to get away with mixing PBT and ABS on maybe some cherry profile sets, I think with the KAM, the difference is just too great. The delta is just too big, too different, and it's just not going to feel very good. With that said, I think it looks nice, and he does push the theme pretty hard, and for some people that could be good, for some maybe not so much. It seems a little over the top, but it seems nice still.
Sure.
Slim Thickens, thank you so much for that Twitch Prime sub, and to Coinstorm for the host. Appreciate that, guys.
Thank you, guys.
I think we missed it earlier, but shout out to Iwane, who subbed at Tier 1, and Japanese Horror for the 1,000 Rip Cheers bits. So thank you so much, guys. Appreciate that.
Thank you, gents.
Lots of gentlemen. Thank you very much, guys. All right, so yeah, would this ever be something that you'd consider using, mixing the textures like that? Do you ever think that that's going to be something successful in key sets moving forward in our community?
Oh, probably not. I don't like the idea of mixing textures. I don't dislike gradient sets. I've got a few gradient sets that I've bought that I kind of like, and you know, designed and things. So I'm completely fine with that. I don't think gradient texture is something that we need in the community from a Keycap perspective. I mean, if you ever try putting half PBT, half ABS on your board, it feels weird. Even if you just do modifiers and alphas, it feels weird.
This is obviously way different too, because it's not like your modifiers are one material and your alphas are the other. It's like actually split 50-50 down the middle of your board, which makes it kind of jarring, honestly. So like your left hand's always going to be typing on, you know, glossy matte or glossy shiny plastic, and then your right hand's always going to be typing on this kind of you know, very textured matte PBT. So I don't know. I kind of like how creative he's getting with it, but I just can't see this being very successful. I gotta be honest.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I don't know. I think if it was all just around one texture, I think many people would probably like the colours and like the idea of it, because it does look like the wave coming up a beach. You know, you
Yeah.
can definitely get that feel and vibe from it. So I think people probably like the look of it. I don't think people like the texture aspects. The novelties and stuff kind of okay. They're just kind of basic. There's
They're
nothing
fine.
that jumps out.
Yeah,
So.
they're fine. I don't know. I like the theme, and I do give him props for the creativity. But you know, I guess we'll wait and see. Maybe this will sell super well. I've had to eat my words a lot lately. I also thought the what was it, the PBT Islander set wasn't gonna do amazingly, and it did quite well. So I'll be waiting to insert my foot into my mouth on this set, assuming this sells super well. I guess we'll have to wait and see. All right. Back over to GMK. Don't worry, Jay. Got you covered, my friend.
Oh, thanks. That's just what.
Yeah, a new set from King Nesty, even. So this is kind of interesting. So this is GMK Baltic interest check, which doesn't necessarily have a theme. It's just kind of themed or inspired by this RAL Baltic green colorway, as well as the Memphis style. Which is kind of a design style, and he just kind of wanted a set with low alpha modifier contrast and an energetic colorway, and thus
very nice.
GMK Baltic is born.
A1A, thank you very much for the 5 tier 1 gift subs. Thank you, dude. I genuinely appreciate those. That is very, very kind of you, so thank you very much, dude.
Yes. Thank you, I appreciate that, man. He just wanted to see hear the very nice.
Very nice. Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty good.
What's wrong with that?
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Back to the Keycap set. Well, those are carrying on.
Yeah.
So I mean, I kind of like the whole idea of the postmodern stuff. So I know of the Memphis group. I've seen them before, and they were kind of like a big influential group back in the mid '80s. So there's a lot of kind of stuff in Europe that's kind of been influenced by them. So I kind of get the inspiration. Translating it into a key set, I'm not quite sure it works. It just feels a bit too vivid and a bit too bright, and I don't know if that kind of works for me. It's kind of very assaulting on the eyes. I think if it was a bit softer in terms of the color, it might be a little bit more attractive. I would worry about that yellow and its the contrast on those kind of caps. I'm not quite sure it will be as legible as it appears to be in the renders in real life.
Yeah, I mean, in his defense, he does say he's aiming for a low contrast set. So at least he's putting it out there front and center. That's the goal here. So, we definitely have to keep that in mind when reviewing a kind of set like this, because that is actually part of the process for the design. So, yeah, but I totally agree. Renders, obviously, and it seems like we've been having a lot of issues lately, more so, with renders translating poorly over to key sets. I've been noticing a lot of people complaining about a lot of the recent sets we've been getting. But, yeah, so this is kind of interesting. Definitely very low contrast. Not really for me, I gotta admit, but I think it looks all right. I'm not an artist, so I don't really know the whole Memphis style kind of thing. So I have no idea like how true to what kind of themes these are. So I'll have to.
Really well. I think the novelties.
They look fine.
Really well.
Yeah, I know nothing about them, but it looks nice. Looks fine. It looks like another fine GMK set.
Yeah, I think this will do okay. I'm not sure. I haven't decided if it's for me or not. I kind of like the inspiration behind it. I kind of like the design, and sometimes that's just enough, even if I'm not a massive fan of the key set, to just tip me over the edge. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you bought DMG and you never even opened it.
It is opened. I opened it on stream on Sunday.
Oh my! You finally opened it.
It's on my JO2. Yeah, it's on my JO2. So there you go. It is open.
My heart can finally rest easy.
Olive or waves. So I've still got keycap sets that aren't open yet. Don't worry.
Yeah. Also, shout out for using RAL colors here as well. So it should be very easily matched by GMK. For sure. He's nothing. He's not a noob here. He's a veteran. I actually kind of like the set a little bit more on some of the bottom renders on what is that? Gen 2
It's
Canoe,
the new Gen 2. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think the renders look a little bit nicer on that, and the contrast doesn't seem quite as low on these particular renders. I don't know if that's intentional or not. It just seems a little higher on some of these first ones.
Mito. Yeah, I think the other ones are done by Mito, and these ones were done by percent. So. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense. Rendered by percent, rendered by Mito. Man, it's interesting just seeing how different colors and sets can look just based on who renders them too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Kind of interesting. All right, so yeah, there you go, guys. That is GMK Baltic, and to continue the water theme from KAM, the Ocean Front set that we were talking about moments ago, we have GMK Shorebound. So instead of Ocean Front, now we have Shorebound from Pupper 125, and this is another kind of aquatic shore, tropical beach summer set. And
yeah.
I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. I am not entirely a fan. I think the colors are okay, but they don't work for me entirely. But is this the new thing? Is like summer beach themes like the new?
Hey, I think people are just tired of being in lockdown and they want to get out and
everyone's
beach.
Everyone's thinking about going to the beach. Is that why we have all these beach-esque sets going on?
Maybe.
That's quite something. So base kit actually looks pretty decent.
It's a solid base.
You have quite a bit of compatibility here. You have full UK ISO support as well as numpad and all your usual suspects as well, and a decent amount of accents even. So pretty rich base kit if you're a fan of those particular colors. Do you like these colors, Jay? Is this a set that is for you?
Do you know what? I really like the blues. I really like the alphas. I'm not so much a fan of the modifiers. The accents are nice, but I'm not so much of a fan of the modifiers. I don't feel like they're sandy enough. I think the colours used in the other set that we talked about, the KAM set, were probably better for that kind of sandy feel.
It made more sense with the gradient effect, right? Because like the sand gets like progressively drier as you get more inshore.
I think if you use something like the GMK Sandstorm mods with this, that could be kind of nice. I'd probably like it a little bit more then. But I adore the alphas. That dark blue on the light blue, I absolutely adore those alphas. I think they could go with so many different modifier sets. I'm a huge fan of those alphas. I think they look great. I'd buy the base kit just for the alphas alone.
Oh, all right, fair enough. Yeah, the alpha blue definitely looking pretty nice. Let's check out some of the other kits. There's a 40s and ortho kit, pretty standard stuff there. You also get an Alice B. There's a spacebar kit which also has an Alice B in there, so you can stock up on Alice Bs if you really want. There's a novelties kit that looks pretty basic. I'm not loving it. I got to be honest. It looks almost too simple. What is the enter supposed to be?
Is it like a little?
Is it a boat? I was trying to figure it out before the stream, and like a simple boat was all I could come up with, but that feels a little weak. I gotta be honest. Same with, is this a surfboard in the bottom left? I assume.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. People in chat are saying that enter is a boat. Okay. Yeah. So that's a boat, I guess. I don't know. It looks a little too simple for me, but I mean, then again, all the novelties pretty darn simple. I'm not entirely a fan.
I'm not totally sold on the novelties. I mean, they're okay. They're not terrible.
They're okay. They seem low effort. I'll say that.
Sure.
But my opinion, obviously. Death mats, again, they're fine. They look fine. Beach balls, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, they're just death mats. I mean, they're exactly where I would expect them to be. It's interesting how the ball isn't the same ball novelty that's on the novelty keys as well. The ball,
which is unfortunate because this one on the death mat does look a lot better, I would say.
Yeah, I'd potentially change the one on the keycaps to match that ball as well, that beach ball. But yeah, I mean, I've got to say though, the more I look at these renders, the more I really am falling in love with those alphas. Those two blues together, they work so well. Really big fan of that.
Yeah. Cool. Well, there you go, guys. As GMK Shorebound, and let's check out. We're jumping profiles again. Now we're over to Cat. So we've had Finicky, we've had KAM, we've had Cat, GMK. We're covering lots of bases here. And this was the set I was actually teasing, or not teasing, but referring to earlier on in the show. That was actually, the design process was streamed. A collaborative effort between Minterly and Alex Odos, two very fantastic streamers in their own right, and they've been kind of designing this key set on stream. I think I've been kind of tuning a little bit with some Twitch chat, and it came out pretty interesting. And I gotta be honest, I wasn't there for the whole process, so I don't know like what the entire theme kind of is, but it seems a little kind of memey, but in a very fun way as well. I'm not gonna go through all the kits, of course, because there's a billion, because it's a Cat set, but How do you feel about the colors here? And we'll check out the novelties in a second because they're pretty
I actually
fantastic.
really like this. Like, genuinely, I really like this. I think it's got a ton of potential. I think it looks great on some of the boards that it's rendered on. The gallery's really interesting for in terms of the kits and everything else. The novelties are kind of fun as well. I don't know if you watch a lot of streams, you might see a lot of these as well. But like the Bork and the Heck.
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah.
Genuinely love it.
I think people are pretty sold on the Yeet novelty. I think that's got to be a pretty popular one in our community.
Yeah.
But like,
and the escape. Oh no.
Yeah.
I really like these, and the little T-Rex as well for the arms. I genuinely, I think this has got a lot of potential. I think it looks really good. It's been clearly designed with love, even if it's kind of a little bit memey and a bit fun.
Like that's part of the process too, and this is why I think that our community needs a lot of this kind of more design focused stream in the community, because when I was watching them do this, it felt so natural and it was just so fun, and like we need more people doing design streams, because I feel like that's something our community is lacking a lot. I know some people have been doing more. Heine's been starting up some design streams lately, and I've been really enjoying those as well. But it's fun to watch people in the community just collaborate on this kind of stuff on stream. Like, it's this is the heart of the community. Like, this is two people getting together to have a good time and make a fun set, and like you just can't hate on that.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of this. I think it looks great. I absolutely adore it. It's definitely a must-buy for me. I think it's great. Love it.
Yeah, I wish we had. Oh wait,
the laser should be.
Ooh, that's a hot take.
Yeah, there you go. This is most that whole kind of vaporwave cyberpunk aesthetic. This is a better interpretation of it than laser is. And I like laser.
You also you get the yeet. You get the ISO enter yeet if you get the UK kit.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic.
I can yeet things. I'm not quite sure what eating is, but I can yeet things.
We're a little too old to be eating, I think. This is the boomer stream, right? We're just keeping boomers. But I kind of wish they had some more renders, though. They have this one with the blanks, and I presume they will offer blanks with this set, potentially, because some of the other cat sets, it certainly wouldn't be new. They're not listed here from what it looks like, but that could be an option as well. But as you can see, they have the Alphys kits shown here with fairly high contrast legends here, but we don't have that in any of the renders, which is kind of unfortunate. So we kind of just have to bear with this one render, but hey, it still looks nice.
Yeah. So Depleted Vespine says no R3 pipe backslash. I think they are doing the north-south and French kit, so I assume it'll be in there. Yeah, big fan of this. Huge fan of it. Think it's going to be great. This is set of the week for me.
Set of the week, even. Nice. Very cool. Do you like this more than Moomin?
Do you know what? I think I do, and that's a really big thing to say, because Moomin's great, and that's a must buy. Both must buys from me. I'll if I buy nothing else from this week, it'll be these two Keycap sets when they get to group buy. Yeah, I
don't think we have an actual date yet, so unfortunately we don't know that or the vendors. I'm gonna guess you're gonna be one of the vendors of this, aren't you?
No, I'd love to be, but I have no idea who they're talking to. Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Well, that's going to round out our key sets today. Let's talk about one more topic on our news doc before we head over to our Q&A section here. And we're going to talk about optical switches for just a second. And not necessarily just this IC per se, but I kind of wanted to bring this up as a little bit more of a discussion point. So we can just talk about optical switches for a while, because optical switches have existed in our community for a while, but as a lot of you are probably aware, they don't really gain any traction. And a lot of the reason is because we don't really have a lot of variety, and I would say arguably the primary reason is we don't really have a lot of platforms to actually use them on. So we have a couple custom PCBs in the community, but they're kind of few and far between. Maybe some lower quality ones with less than favorable layouts, I would say. Something like, the GK64 that forces the arrow keys. things like that. I'm not really a big fan, but this is kind of interesting. So what's going on here is Swishy is, kind of putting together an interest check, just to get some more switches out in the wild, it seems like. Maybe put them in some switch testers, things like that. To be terribly honest, I'm not that interested in that, just because the switches are really easy to come across. He actually has links for them here, fortunately enough. And the switches they're easily accessible, they're readily available, and they're very inexpensive. And they've been available for a while now. We just don't use them because, like I said before, we don't really have a platform for it. However, one of the things this interest check is trying to do is potentially get some custom PCBs out in the market in the future. And that is very interesting because, like I often argue on the show, this is kind of where our community is moving towards. We're only going to be using, metal leaves and solder joints for so long, because the future is stuff like the infrared, where you just use light and you don't have to solder. It's automatically hot swap by design, by default. And you just put the keyboard together and it's very smooth. You have a lot less friction within the switch. It's where we should be going. And I think, bringing that towards, the kind of mainstream, or our mainstream community, I should say, is just a good thing in general, and I think it's something we should definitely work towards. So, while obviously the Switches have been around for a while and they're very cheap and easy to get a hold of, I do think that the PCBs are kind of the shining light here, and I really hope we can put out something like, let's say, a nice custom basic 60%, or a nice custom basic TKL, or both, that can be used on a lot of cases and housings and situations. That we can actually maybe start to see some of these optical switches get tuned and installed in some of these high-end boards.
Yeah, I mean, some of the optical switches out there are pretty good. I've tried Gateron ones.
I
have got one of these Gateron optical PCBs, where 60% one. I have got one with optical switches in. I've also got a Wooting one, which has got the FlareTech optical switches in. Those FlareTechs are unbelievably smooth, but of course there's nothing inside there apart from the stem sliding up and down. There's no leaf, there's no contact points. It's like a JWK switch. It's as smooth as that if you take out the leaf. That's what they feel like. So they are really, really nice to use. The challenge is that we've never really adopted PCBs into the custom community. And that's not for a lack of availability of the switches, as the interest check proves. The switches are out there. So I think it is something that we should be moving towards. The other thing as well is you don't need to solder these. They're solder free. They just click into place, and it's almost like hot swap.
It's better. It's better than hot swap because you don't have to worry about failure points like Kale hot sockets or hole tights, mil max. You don't have to worry about that stuff. It's just you put the switch in. That's it. And then when you take it out, and put another switch in if you want. It's that simple. It makes our hot swap look even stupider, than it already is, because hot swap in our community is still, relatively new, all things considered. So, I mean, even the Kale hot swap sockets, which, are, arguably the lesser of the evils of hot swap, the optical switch just makes all of that basically obsolete. So, I am a big fan of optical switches, and even though if we don't have any amazing ones in the community right now, like you were mentioning, obviously we have the FlareTech ones, very smooth, the Gateron ones, also very smooth. Maybe we can start seeing people put some more effort and time and money into some of these projects, and maybe we can start to slowly but surely break away from the metal leaf that we've been clinging to for eternity.
Maybe, yeah. I do recommend that he reaches out to one of the known, experienced PCB designers, Yankar, Martin, someone like that, because this isn't the same as just doing a normal kind of PCB. There's a little bit more involved. It's not being done as much in the community, so it definitely needs a little bit more tweaking to make sure it's right and things like that. There isn't many custom ones out there for a reason. It's not as easy to design one of these PCBs as it is to do a standard kind of MX PCB, as far as I understand it. So it's definitely worthwhile speaking to some of the more experienced people. AI3, Wilbur, Yankar, as I said before.
Tiny,
some of the well-known PCB engineers out there, because they kind of, if they don't know this stuff already, they'll find it easier to learn than someone who's just picking from scratch. So it is well worth looking out for that kind of stuff. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it comes about. I think we should look towards the future. I think more companies should start to look at making optical switches. They probably are going to be the future in the medium term. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely looking forward to this. And once the PCBs come to fruition, I'm definitely going to be all over this, and I would definitely, as long as they're not outrageously expensive, I would certainly try to buy a couple and test them as well, because I'm very, very, very much looking forward to this kind of thing. And hopefully, if they can get the PCBs done well enough, could you imagine just repping like a WT60D, but it's like optical instead? How cool would that be?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah. I think, do you know, I think the biggest challenge and the biggest reason why we don't see more optical switches in the market is because there isn't a standard for them. So they tend to use an MX-shaped housing. But in terms of how they actually work, the FlareTech ones and the Gateron ones are very, very different. You couldn't put Gateron ones in the FlareTech PCBs and vice versa. They don't work like that. You have to make the PCB specific to that brand of switch. So I think that's probably the biggest challenge we've got, is to work out which of the technologies is best and then try and support that and push that forwards. I'm not sure how we do that as a community because it's new ground.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll tell you how we start. We do something, anything. We do anything, even this. We do this, and if this doesn't work, well, then we know. But if it does work, then we have potentially more direction. So I think anyone just like shooting it down like immediately probably doesn't understand the bigger picture. They may not see the bigger picture. But even a small step towards like a better, brighter future for our community is still a small step. So I'm more looking forward to this kind of stuff, as well as the Keystone. Obviously, I've talked at length about that as well. I'm really interested in this kind of stuff because it's not the super high end Korean customs with the 63.5 gram lube JWK switches that's going to push us into the future. Like, that stuff's cool and we like it and it's fun, but it's not our future. So I'm looking forward to this kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would like to see a vendor step behind this to give it a bit of support. I think it's a bit of a big program of work to manage as an individual, especially if you don't have experience in designing switches and PCBs and stuff like that. I think it definitely needs that kind of guidance through it. But the idea is in the right place and it's pushing in the right direction. So, let's see.
Yeah, there you go. And that is actually going to round out our news doc for today, guys. So we're going to talk about our sponsors for just a moment, and then we're going to get into our Q&A like we end our shows with, like always. So if you have questions, you can actually start asking those right now. If you use the @TopTech tag, it helps us out a lot. If you don't use that tag, we may or may not skip your question. So make sure you're using that tag if you want us to look at those questions. So anyways, about our lovely, freaking awesome sponsors, as usual, we're starting off this week with Novel Keys. I think our longest running sponsor at this point now, maybe. The wonderful Novel Keys, you know them, you love them. They have lots of things going on right now, as usual. A few key sets going on right now in their final days, so you got to jump on these pretty quick. GMK Classic Blue ends tomorrow, guys. It's 28th, right? Yeah, 28th. Yeah, this ends the 29th, so this ends tomorrow, guys. You have very, very limited time to get up on this, but the base kit looks fantastic. Pricing on point as well, so make sure you get on that before tomorrow. Cat Arctic group buy is also ending very soon, just a couple more days, June 1st on that, so make sure you pick up that. About a bazillion kits, so you can outfit a lot of boards for about $100 or less, so that's pretty nice as well. Desk mats for that. JTK Zen still in group buy as well. This also ends tomorrow, I believe, or today even. So
today, 28.
Yeah, so this is your actual last chance to get this JTK Zen $90 base kit. Lots of compatibility. Ends today. Make sure you get on that. He's got lots of other things in stock though, so you're looking for maybe some switchers or stabilizers or some desk mats, potentially some of Star Wars Boba Fett keycaps, or an olive plushie because they're freaking adorable. He's got you covered. Anything in stock, make sure you use the Clack promo code. That's one word, all lowercase. Clack will get you 5% off your total order. And I just saw that Gator Ron is sold out, and that makes me sad, Jay. Makes me really sad.
Well, at least we can cuddle our...
Ron's out. Ron's out.
Let me get my Ron.
Ron's out, everyone. Ron's out. Come on.
Yeah, Ron's out. There we go. There he is.
In respect for the sold out Ron, I wonder how long before the olive... Do you think he's going to restock those? The Gator Ron's pretty popular, right?
It must be. It must be really popular.
Right. That's what I was thinking. God. Ron's out, boys and girls, and anyone else. It's so hard to keep it on my shoulder while sitting in the chair, though. Anyways, why don't you take us to our next sponsor, Jim?
So next up we have got Kono.store. Let me post the link into chat there. So Kono have got a few things on at the minute. They've got some pre-orders available for a lot of the group buys that they've run in recent months. So if you've missed out on any of the key sets, Cat Oasis, for example, or GMK Sharkbait, or SA Calm Depths, or all of the other ones that they've had on there, GMK Hero, things like that, GMK Copper, you can pre-order those sets now, which means you'll actually get them when the group buy ships. but you won't have to pay extras pricing for them. So do consider those if you've missed out on those. As well as that, they've also got the Keystone switches available on pre-order. Now, they're currently only going to work in the Keystone keyboard, but if you are interested in trying those switches out, you might want to get one to try and play around with, or a couple of them, or you might be interested in buying the Keystone board itself, which both Brian and I would highly recommend to try, because look at those force curves. It's a really, really interesting switch. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how it changes the market. So do take a look at that. If, however, you'll need a work board whilst you're in lockdown, or you need something to put you on for a short period of time, or you want to get someone else into the community and into using mechanical keyboards, then the Hexgears Gemini X1 and Venture might be the opportunity for you to be able to do that. These boards are in stock. They use super low-profile switches, and it's a low-profile case as well. They're also wireless, so you've got Bluetooth capability in there, and the prices are really good as well. They could be a great starter board to get someone into the community, so do consider those out. And the good news from Kono as well is they've now finished their warehouse move as well, so congratulations.
Heck yeah. I've actually used one of these boards in person too, and honestly, like, they're better than you might think. I really enjoyed the clicky white version, by the way. Next up, we have the one, the only KBDfans, who has a few things going on, as well as a few things coming up soon. So they have the KBD pad MK2. That's finally coming very, very soon. So we're getting a refresh of that, and the Vulcan X KBDfans Maja, I think is how it's pronounced, is coming soon as well. Yeah. So that's going to be another kind of Alice alternative for a fairly inexpensive price. They also have, I think they're the only place right now that has a cat set in stock. Ooh, so if you're a fan of Cat, you want to try out Cat, then I think this is a good place to try it for well under $100 there. And if you're a fan of Enjoy PBT Kuroshiro, that's also coming back very soon, as well as Extended 2048 and Enjoy PBT Cool Kids coming up soon as well. So you know,
Kuroshiro's group by now, right? Yeah,
it's Kuroshiro's group by now. Yeah, sorry. Sometimes I have trouble clicking the group by page, but yeah, that is open right now, guys, and. The Rama caps are even there too, so that's kind of nice. So yeah, nice. Lots of people happy about that one because the round one went very well. Ron, you need to stop falling, my friend. You got to stay on my shoulder. Ron just needs to be alive so I can, like, you know, have him as a pet. But yeah, KBDfans, lots of things in stock, and you know, it's kind of a one-stop shop. So while you're looking for switches, stabilizers, keycaps, you know, pretty much anything, they probably have you covered. The catalog is quite vast as far as keyboard vendors are concerned.
Cool. Okay, moving over to our final sponsor today. It is Mekanisk.com, the store run by the wonderful Leandrin. So Leandrin's got a few things in stock that we should talk about. First of all, the WT60D PCB. This is quite possibly one of the better PCBs on the market right now.
It's sold out.
Designed by Wilbur.
No.
Oh, it's sold out. It wasn't sold out earlier.
It wasn't earlier, yeah. That must have been very recent. That's just, it's a live show. That's how it goes. Can't always.
It literally didn't even say sold out on the screen until I clicked on it then. Yeah, okay, so yeah, but look for that coming back in stock then, because it's a great PCB, and I've got like 6 of them, and I use them quite frequently in 6-minute builds. The other things that he does have in stock, he does have some dampening foams in there. If you've recently bought one of the group buys, a clipper or anything else that's been in group buy, you can pick up some dampening foam. And as well as that, there's also the ultramarine keyboard stabilizers. So these are Durex stabilizers. They come in a full pack. I've bought a couple of these already because I'm really excited to try them out. You can actually add them to any of your orders if you picked up anything in group buy recently. You don't have to have them shipped directly to you now. You can just add them to an order as well. So do take a look at those if you're interested in them. They're probably the best bang for buck stabilizer on the market right now. Second only, in my opinion, to Zeal stabilizers, but Zeal stabilizers are significantly more expensive. So you pay your money, you take your choice.
But these are ultramarine.
These are ultramarine, yeah. They're a stock colour for Mekanisk, and the ultramarine colour is pretty nice, let's be honest. The other big news as well is the tinned is coming soon, guys, so do keep an eye out for the tinned board that Brian is incredibly excited for, as well as myself. So there should be more news soon, but Leandrin keeps telling us to keep our ears to the ground because stuff is happening.
I'm so excited. This might be my board, my one board, my Grail board. This could be it. I feel like I've been waiting long enough.
Your get the tinned, just quit the community kind of board because that's it. You've hit endgame, or
I can't really see myself quitting the community. Oh no, I've dropped Ron. I'm sorry, guys. All right, let's get over to the Q&A, of course, guys. But yeah, I am really pumped for the Tinned. Like, I've been there, like, every step of the way, like, every revision, every teaser, every interest check, like, oh my god, I'm ready for that board, man. It's like a culmination of my journey in the community.
I can tell because you constantly talk about it. Like every show we do, it's like Tinned.
I love the way it looks, and I'm really excited for a lot of the revisions he's been doing. But anyways, I won't rant forever on that. Let's get to the Q&A so people aren't terribly bored of me rambling. Cryptoid is asking, are you guys craving more GMK ICs? I gotta be honest, I am not. I am not.
Well,
I think it's
something to talk about.
It gives. Okay, I have kind of a love-hate relationship with the way GMK is in our community right now. I'm very, very glad that people are able to express themselves through so many designs and colorways in GMK keycaps. I think that is absolutely fantastic, and it's a very good thing for our community, and I like that. Because of it, we have so many more options readily available, and so there's a colorway out there for everyone nowadays. Because there's an interest check every like hour. It seems you have so many every single week that. But conversely, it feels like so many of them are low effort these days, and some of them maybe not as nice as they otherwise could be if they had maybe a little bit more time and effort. It feels like some people just kind of want to crank out GMK interest checks just because that's what people are doing right now. And I don't particularly like it. And we're seeing some nice sets out of them. We surely are, but I don't know. I kind of miss the good old days when everybody was on kind of the hype train for one GMK set at a time because that's what you had to do.
It was only 3 or 4 a year, right? And that was how it was. And do you know what? Somewhat I agree. I think a lot of the time when you speak to some of the designers, it's kind of like they seem to be searching for an idea rather than having an idea and then making a GMK set around it. They've got it in their heads that they have to make a GMK set, and they're searching for an idea to put it around. And I'm not kind of sure that that's the way that I'd like the community to go. At that point, it just kind of feels a bit forced and a bit kind of we're doing it because there's an opportunity to make money or whatever. It doesn't feel like they're doing it because inspiration struck, which is kind of like the core of what this community is about. They're doing things because inspiration struck and because you want to make a great product, and having that fire and passion behind it. It kind of feels like it's losing that element a little bit in the keyboard side of things. In the key set kind of things. In the keyboard side of things, I think things are really exciting. Things are being different all the time. But key sets, it just kind of feels a bit formulaic now.
Yeah.
I'm going to design a key set. I've picked some colors. I've now put it in a render, and I think it's better the other way around. Like, oh, that would be a great idea for a key set. Let me play around with some colors, and now I'll get a render. That feels like a much more progressive and better way of doing it. It's somewhat of I hesitate to say this because I know people are going to disagree, but it's somewhat of an art form, and we're kind of losing that and turn it into a production queue. And I kind of agree that back in the old days, it was kind of nice when you were really excited. As soon as a GMK IC went up, it was like, oh my god, new GMK IC's up, and it was all people could talk about for a week. And there was only 3, 4, 5 a year, or one a month, or something like that.
You know what? It feels like we don't have a chance to appreciate stuff before the next cool thing comes out. And I put air quotes on that just because, it's a silly thing to say, kind of. But I really do think that we spend very little time living in the moment in our community, and we just... So we need to live in the moment, but we also need to make progress towards, like, the future and betterment of our, like, community and, like, our technology and our niche. I think that is, like, a given. But it feels like we're stale, and we're just, like, doing things for the sake of doing them. Particularly with GMK sets, it's just, I mean, no disrespect. I mean, I'm not an artist, I'm not a designer, so, my words, take them with a grain of salt. But it just feels like so many people are just kind of, here's some color, here's my set. And it's like, sometimes they're nice, but it just doesn't feel, I don't feel like an emotional connection to sets like I used to anymore. And maybe it's just because I see so many of them now, it's like, I don't have the time to, like, be like, okay, I'm going to appreciate this interest check for a week. I'm going to read it a couple times. I'm going to think about it. It's just like, I see an interest check, and now I'm going to look at another interest check now because, 8 more were just posted. So, I don't know. It feels like we don't have a lot of time to focus on, like, 1 or 2 specific things. We're kind of just always on to, like, what's the next colorway? I don't know. It just... Formulaic is a good way to put it, but it feels kind of redundant. But I think we are seeing people get creative too. I mean, look, we've seen PBT R&R, PBT Islander. We checked out the what was it earlier today? I'm already forgetting the name, the KAM set, Ocean Front. People are getting really creative, and it's very different. And, you know, whether it's, you know, right or wrong, good or bad, whatever you want to say, you know, people are still trying different things. And I think as long as we're trying, that's a good thing as well. Because, you know, obviously we're going to fail sometimes, and, you know, maybe fail a lot of the times, but that's how you learn.
Yeah, sure.
Anyways, let's see. Silver Ion is asking, historically, I've heard that GMK pastel colors can sometimes be a bit hit or miss on accuracy. Thoughts on how something like that may affect Moomin?
It's an interesting question. I think we have had some pastel colours be a bit hit and miss in the community on GMK. I suspect that's more in terms of choosing Pantone colours and then trying to match them to plastics and things not quite coming out as they should. I think that's an element of it. You know, you think things like Necro, which kind of had pastel type alphas and things. We've had some great successes though. I think if you look at things like GMK Muted and Mr. Sleeves add-on kits, they're kind of pastel colours. Yeah. They worked really well. Everyone's a big fan of those. You know, there's other examples of key sets out there as well, I'm sure, that have come out just fine. So I think I'm comfortable that the guys behind Moomin will do just fine. Rensu knows his stuff. Canon Keys knows his stuff. You know, I think it'll be okay.
Yeah,
I have full faith.
Totally agree. Depleted Vestbeat is asking, speaking of colors, what is the loudest keycap set either of you own?
Ooh, Vaporwave, probably.
I don't really own loud key sets. Let's see.
Brian takes
GMK Lime? Is Lime considered a loud key set? That's like definitely one of like the more vibrant sets I own.
Yeah, I've got Vaporwave. You can see it. Just
I have DMG. That's a loud set, I guess, right?
I wouldn't say it was a loud set. Loud means bright colours to me. Taro is also kind of bright as well.
Yeah, I'm not a loud set kind of guy, so I just don't really own any of them.
Taro just up here, just there. Yeah, I do have a few others, I think.
Well, you have like Laser too, right? Laser and Vaporwave.
Yeah, Vaporwave. I don't think Laser's particularly bright unless you use the bright pink accents, the hot pink accents. Waves, I guess, is kind of a bright set. Yeah, I'm just looking up at some of the key sets I've got in here. I guess you could class some of the Tokyo Night sets, which I quite like, as bright sets as well, I guess. But I have a lot of muted sets as well. I have a ton of OG sets. Like that's probably on more boards than anything else is OG dive subs and double shots. So, you know, I kind of go both ways.
You heard it here first, guys. Jay goes both ways. All right, let's go ahead and move on.
Someone's going to clip that now.
Whatever. That's the whole point, is, you know, for people to make fun of us. Come on, Jay. Joking aside, our next question comes from young Woody.
Nice.
That's so apt for this conversation. He's asking, not sure if you guys covered the heavy metal keyboards group buy that's ending this weekend. Wondering what your thoughts were. Seems like for the price, it's a pretty cool board. Yeah, so the reason we didn't really cover it this time, although it is a cool product, don't get me wrong, is that we've covered all of their like previous group buys, and they've all basically been pretty much the same. They just kind of rehash the same design, and then every now and then they add more layouts, which is fine, and that's cool. And it is a cool product, and the price does seem very, very reasonable. But they've been around for a few years now. You know, we've gone through a few different rounds of them. It's
terrible. That's
yeah, and right now, Top Clack's in this kind of weird state with news, where news is coming out at a rate that we just can't cover all of it anymore, and I'm sure you guys have noticed that as well. Like, we don't cover everything anymore because we just can't. We're just two guys, like, and we have lives outside of this as well. So it's like, you know, we only can do so much. So, you know, we try to pick things that we think will either be successful or be like super controversial, or that you guys will really appreciate. Sometimes things that we really appreciate. We try to cover pretty much everything that goes in the group buy, but as far as interest checks are concerned, we just can't get to them all. You know, as far as the heavy metal keyboard thing, like I mentioned earlier, we've covered that so many times in the past, multiple times in interest check, multiple times in group buy. And while I do like the direction they're going, I feel like it's almost redundant to cover it again at this point. But again, no disrespect to them. It's a cool product, and I like what they're doing with it. So, you know, definitely check it out if that's your thing. But it's not new at this point. We've had that for years now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when they were running it as the SKBs, I have a 65 and a 60 version, and again, whilst there's some slight differences and there's some more layouts now, the product's basically the same. I think it's just got another color and another couple of options and a couple of different layouts, and that's great. It's just I'm just not sure. I agree with Brian. It's just not something we can cover because we can't cover everything.
It's a cool product that I think the community benefits a lot from, but we've talked. Top Clack has covered it enough times. So we have to be a little bit more picky and choosy lately, so we can kind of not have 4-hour shows where we cover a bunch of things. Let's see. Moving on to questions here. Bubblehead Brett is asking, if you could rerun any set that has only had one run, what would it be? Rerun one set that's only had one.
It's only had one run. Interesting.
I mean, the obvious answer is Muted, right? That would make everyone happy.
Yeah, I mean that's up there. That's up there. Yeah, probably have to be Muted. Yeah, I can't think of anything else that really jumps off. I'd really like to see actually a rerun of GMK Monkey with good compatibility. That's something I would quite like to see.
That could be interesting. Yeah, I think if anything, it'd probably be like earlier stuff at this point.
Yeah, GMK
Monkey would be pretty cool.
Wasabi as well. I kind of really missed getting Wasabi, and I'm kind of sad that I didn't get it.
Yeah, I was a little split on Wasabi at first, but the more I've seen it lately, like in actual pictures, the more I've been coming around to Wasabi. Also, shout out to his newer design Pono, which I like even more. Definitely be picking that one up.
Dandy as well. I really like that.
Dandy does look pretty fantastic. Shout out to Young Woody with that tier 1 sub, as well as Switch Keys AU for a tier 1 sub. Thank you very much, guys. And I missed it earlier, but the legendary Mr. Petrov himself did donate 1,500 bits earlier as well. So thank you so much, guys.
So Tahir Types is in chat as well, Mr. Nathan himself. Glad you watched. He says, Jay, what did you do with Brian? Where did he go? Oh, we got rid of Brian. Sorry, dude. Yeah, we got rid of him.
Yeah. Brian was the outdated, obsolete model. I'm the new one. and I promise you, I'm just as bad. But of course, I keep. This is so hard to keep Gator on my shoulder. But great to have you in chat, of course, Nathan. Glad to see you around. Hope your streaming has been going quite well. I know you've been pretty busy lately. Let's see. Mowins is asking.
Mowin.
I don't know how to say that. I'm sorry. Considering.
Mowin wins.
Oh, is that what it is? Mowin. Yeah. Oh, Mowin wins. Okay.
Mowin wins. Yeah.
That's a fun thing to say. Considering the tinned will ship directly from the factory in China, do you think the QC will fall behind the usual Mekanisk standards? That's a fantastic question, and it's definitely something to consider as well. With that said, I've actually had a few things shipped to me directly from his factory, because of him. I know he sent me a couple clip A straight from the factory as well, and I've seen no QC issues with a lot of the stuff that he's sent me, so I'm not too worried about it, but I do think that's a valid concern that he presumably is not doing any QC himself. Because maybe he flies out of China, maybe he doesn't, let's be honest. Probably won't. I mean, he's in school. He probably doesn't have that much kind of free time, so I'm not going to be too worried about it, but it's a valid point, yeah. And I think anyone that would want to be worried about it, has a valid point.
I think the thing is as well is that he's a well-known vendor. If there is a problem with it, I'm sure he'll fix it.
That's the thing,
I wouldn't
right?
be worried. If it turns up and it's damaged, I'm sure he'll fix it.
He's a super nice guy. He's gonna make things right if things go wrong. It's not something I'm going to worry about.
You have to think about this as well from his perspective. He wouldn't have taken that decision if he didn't already have, a really good relationship with the manufacturer, and that his fails on QC were really low in the boards that come to him. If he has 100 boards that get sent to him now and he ships all of those out, there must be so few failing QC that he feels comfortable to let the factory just ship them directly out.
Yeah. Kakan is asking, how many marshmallows do you fit in your mouth?
I could probably fit all 80 of these marshmallows in my mouth, I think.
I was about to ask, the switches or the food stuff? Because I don't know the answer either way. I gotta be totally honest.
I couldn't fit all 18 in my mouth, by the way. That's a complete lie. I'd fit about 20.
Fit about 20 in your mouth? All right.
Yeah.
We've learned from this stream that Jay goes both ways and he can fit 20 in his mouth. I love this. This is a great episode.
Yeah. Oh, I'm dreading all these clips.
Nah. It's all good. Good. Be nice to Jay, everyone. Tommy Hong is asking, favorite keyboard in each layout? That's a pretty big question, because layouts are not always a standardized thing, and a lot of people come up with some rather creative layouts, to be honest, but
yeah,
maybe we can cover maybe a couple of the more basic ones, like 60, TKL, stuff like that. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if we do straight 60, my favorite is the JO2, but I feel really bad picking my own, so I'd probably say that I really, really like the Brutal 60 as well.
Brutal 60 is pretty good. Favorite keyboard in each layout? Oh man, in 60 it'd probably be the Sirius, but I as you guys all know, I don't really like these favorite/best questions, because that's just not how I approach the community. So
it's going to be a different answer tomorrow.
Exactly. Like, yeah, you ask me next week, it's probably going to be different. The Sirius is probably still my favorite current 60, but I've really been enjoying the Type X lately. I gotta be honest. Very much looking forward to the Tind as well. So it's up in the air. I mean, so much stuff happens in the community. It's too hard of a question to answer. We could talk at length about what we like, and you're more than welcome to join the Discord link below, and you can talk to us anytime about keyboards. And we'll probably have better answers for you there. That's a kind of a hard question for the show. It's a bit lengthy. Depleted Vespine is asking the same thing. All right, fair enough. Bug Whisperer says S.A. Olivia. I feel like I'm a little lost.
Sure, yeah, S.A. Olivia.
Sure, S.A. Olivia, yeah, it looks nice. Poor Yorick is asking, are there any clear disadvantages to optical switches as a technology beyond just their limited market share? Other disadvantages? I'm sure there are some.
I mean, technically they should be cheaper to produce. I suspect that there's very few molds for them out there, so the material... So if you... From a mold making perspective, you make different molds for different materials. So when we talk about Gateron switches or JWK switches, if you have different top materials or bottom materials, they probably have a different mold for each material. I suspect that given the fact that there's very few optical switches out there or types of optical switch, there's probably not many molds in terms of different materials that they support. So that's probably one of the downsides. I guess the other downside as well to them is the fact that because they take up so much more stuff on the PCB, because you have to have depending on what technology you're using, you have to have some sort of sensor there, that takes up space, and it kind of removes the level of compatibility you can add to a PCB. So you can't have one of those PCBs that's got 1,000 different options for the bottom row at 60%, which I think is a good thing. Many people would disagree, because I think a lot of people like to be able to pick and choose a bottom row and have all the different options available, but you do have to really limit compatibility on 60%. And any other layout as well. Other than that, I don't think there's any particular disadvantage. You probably can't fix the PCBs if they break. It's not like changing a diode on a PCB today or swapping out a switch. If it does break the PCB, that's kind of it.
PCBs these days are very fixable a lot of the time.
Pretty rough.
If you make a mistake, that there's almost a guarantee that you can solve it somehow. But yeah, that's a good point. And I'm sure as the technology does get more popular and we see more of it, we're going to be discovering more and more both advantages and disadvantages, and it's just going to be something we have to kind of just take in stride, and hopefully we can kind of just polish things up and make them better, because we're at the very beginning stages of this, very, very ground level here, so we don't really know entirely what to expect yet. Like we were talking about earlier, some of the footprints aren't like entirely identical, so maybe kind of more of a standardized MX stem format kind of thing with the opticals just to start and kind of see, so it's not terribly different from what we're used to, but it's still a big step in the right direction. I think that would be nice. But yeah, they're so cheap too. Like it's like $15 for like 70 Gateron opticals. Like it's not expensive at all. So I think it's going to be a good thing for the community, very much so.
Absolutely, yeah.
Magic FX is asking, hey Jay, you mentioned on Instagram that you'll be doing a limited run of J01 on your site. Is it a raffle or first come, first served basis?
Ooh, more details coming soon, but it's not the original J01. It is a redesigned version of the J01. Prototype is on its way to me at the minute, so it's probably about 2 weeks out, knowing what shipping's like around the world at the moment. More details will be released after I've done that. It's likely to just be first come, first served basis on my site, probably 50 units, and that's about all I know right now. Everything else is TBC.
All right, fair enough. Wilson is asking pretty good question here, actually. Do you think that switch makers should start selling switch parts like stem or housing? So maybe they, instead of selling full switches from the straight from the OEM, they sell parts straight from the OEM. This wouldn't be entirely new. We have seen stuff like this within our community. Some of our community members, obviously, they stock things like stems. We have things like what are people calling them these days? The unwiped stems. So we have like aftermarket springs and stems. That's nothing new. We even had aftermarket tops. That's nothing new either. And I think some vendors in the community even sell still tops. But yeah, bottoms like base housings and leaves and stuff like that, I feel like are definitely a lot less common. But it would be kind of nice to just be able to source those parts for, even cheaper if you're trying to make hybrid switches. Obviously, Franken switches or hybrid switches are super popular.
I'd give big money for Milky Gap tops to be available just there. That'd be great. Yeah, I'd like that.
Yeah. I think there's definitely a market for it, absolutely. All right. I think that... Oh, wait, that's not our last question. Poor Yorick is asking, are you aware of any major switch manufacturers planning to make market optical switches, maybe even higher-end ones? I don't know. I haven't heard anything on the optical market besides what we already have out.
The two main ones, and there's a few variants, but the two main ones are the Gatoron optical switches and the FlareTech optical switches. Of those two, if I had to pick, I would pick FlareTechs because I think they're smoother, they're nicer, they're just a better switch overall. And they also do a tactile and a linear, I think, or maybe it's clicky. Maybe it's clicky and linear. I can't recall.
FlareTech does all three, I think.
Right, okay. I've only got two of the versions. I know I've definitely got linears. I've got another one which is either clicky or linear, or clicky or tactile. I can't remember which it is. But the linears are amazing. I wasn't so fond of the other ones, if I remember rightly. But yeah, there is no one else really on the market doing huge things with them at the minute. So I feel like it's a bit of a gap. I do think they're a better technology overall, but even with the constraints we talked about a few minutes ago, I think I would like to see some different manufacturers push towards making some. I'd be interested to see if we could start to change it up a little bit, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so it looks like we're fully caught up on the questions now. We're still fairly early, actually, so I'm going to wait just a couple more minutes if you guys have any last-minute questions before we roll out. But, of course, the slow exit, as always. What?
This is the first time we've had, like, a sub-2-hour show in a long time.
Oh, well, I'll just wait till after it's 2 hours before I end the stream. No big deal.
1 hour, 57 minutes, and 23 seconds.
All right, well, we still have 2.5 minutes left. We gotta break the 2 hour mark. Just a little bit.
Can't let Jay go to bed early. I'm not going to bed, sadly. I'm going to be staying up. I have too much work to do today. Because it's already Friday for me. It's nearly 4 a.m. So I'll just be staying up. I'll probably just go straight up to the warehouse after this and start work.
You're a madman, man. Absolute madman.
Gotta be done.
Yeah.
Got to be done.
Yeah. Wilson asking, have you tried the MOU switches?
No, I haven't as yet, no.
I don't think I've heard of those. Are those optical?
No, they're an all black switch. I think, if I remember rightly.
MOU, huh? Okay. Interesting. Coinstorm asking Jay on scones, cream or jam first?
Jam, then cream, always.
Jam, then cream, huh?
Mm-hmm.
All right, fair enough. Richat is asking, will you get your hands on the 3-in-1 Zeals? I will tell you right now, I will try my darndest. I will absolutely ask him for some samples. He might say no, but he might say yes. Who knows? So we're gonna try him out as fast as we can, as soon as we can, rather.
we will be asking for them.
But
sure.
yeah, I imagine we might not be on the priority list of who gets to try them first. But I will certainly be trying to get my hands on some to test out for you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Interestingly, we have got some packages coming from Novel Keys, a little care package sent to each of us from Novel Keys.
Mike being way nicer than he needs to, as usual. But yeah, I'm gonna do a special stream for that actually.
Yeah, I'm looking quite forward to opening that up. Yeah.
Yeah, more on that later. But anyways, Depleted Vespine is asking, what is your favorite brand of butter? Interesting. I love when we get into food questions. I'm not super picky on butter. However, I will say I appreciate most of the European butters more than the American butters. But I would say that if you have like a farm fresh butter, it's probably going to be pretty good regardless. So yeah, I tend to buy less. Yeah, I try to buy like anything that I can buy like local. My aunt and uncle actually run a farm, so I'm not adverse to a lot of the first hand stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, we get our milk and butter and bread all made locally, local farm shop.
Can you guys do raw milk out there? Is that legal where you are?
Yeah. Most of the milk that we get is raw.
That's awesome.
It's not pasteurized. Like if you buy it from the supermarket, it's usually pasteurized. But if you go to the farm shop, absolutely, it's available. You can get free range eggs and raw milk and
nice. Raw milk
butter products.
Raw milk is top tier, man. I love that.
It's the way forwards, man. The way forward. Makes great coffee as well. It's great for coffee.
Makes amazing chocolate milk too. So rich and creamy. Oh man. Anyways, favorite brand of butter. Whatever's freshest and most local. A preference towards European, Irish probably hardest preference.
Nice salted butter as well. Good.
Yeah. It depends on what you're doing. If you're just like putting it on something, yes. But if you're cooking with it, I like to adjust salt levels myself.
Sure, yeah, but if it's going on toast,
yes, toast you gotta have it salted. Yeah, I agree with it.
And if it's not salted butter, then you sprinkle some salt on anyway.
Yeah.
My poor
butter and salt are what make things good. That's like the secret of restauranting.
Do you know what the secret to most good sauces is? Good butter, and if you don't put butter in it, it doesn't taste good. Same for baking.
Yeah, good butters, good oils, good salts, freshly cracked black pepper. Don't use the pre-ground shit. Get out of here with that. It's a totally different thing.
Yeah, don't use dried herbs. Use fresh. Yeah. Secrets to cooking.
Yeah, not hard at all to grow your own herbs these days. Like even on like a little apartment balcony in like a little like pot or something.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to some questions. Orange Josh asking one more question. Then, are you surprised that despite how the economy in general is doing everywhere in the world, the aftermarket of Keeb didn't actually quote unquote collapse, and in fact still going strong? You're totally right. The communities. What?
It doesn't really surprise me.
Well, I think. So I've said this before, but I think a lot of the people that are in this hobby tend to have professions that involve technology that allow them to work from home. So I think a lot of the people in our hobby are like already working from home anyways, or like have jobs where they are working from home. So like they might not be losing out on a whole lot of money compared to a lot of people that might work more, quote unquote essential or menial jobs or customer service jobs like myself, for example. Obviously, we have to be there in person, so it's a little bit different. So, I don't know. I think you're not wrong. The community has money. The community has money, and they're okay with spending it. And that seems to be the running theme right now.
Yeah, and I think a lot of niche hobbies have done really, really well during lockdown. I mean, you've got to remember that shops are closed pretty much around the world. You can't go down the high street and buy things anymore. So loads and loads of places have been seeing additional online traffic, and people are buying things to replace the things they use. I think if you look at TVs and Amazon TV boxes and Netflix subscriptions and all of those kind of things, it's been going up. People use keyboards at home every day. They want a good one. It's been going up. The sales have been going up. I know that there's a lot of unfortunate people out there that have lost jobs, lost income, and that genuinely is a really, really terrible thing. But overall, across the community, I think the trend is still onwards and upwards. I don't think it's growing as fast as it was. If you go back to January, February time, things were going absolutely crazy. I think it has slowed down a little bit since then, but
a little bit, yeah.
It's still going on. the other hobbies like the sneakerheads and all of that kind of stuff, that's still doing amazingly well as well. Things are selling out in fractions of a second on other hobby markets as well. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that it slowed down. I know we talked on the live stream we did about it a month or two ago, that it probably would slow things down, but genuinely, the more I think about it, the more I'm not surprised that it hasn't.
Yeah, and I mean, during that stream, that was a couple months ago now at this point, I think, but we had a couple vendors on there. They didn't really seem to be that worried, to be totally honest. Things seem to be going business as usual for a lot of them. And again, that just goes back to show you that our community still has money, and we still have that spending power, and a lot of the products are selling super well these days, and the stats back that up.
It's going crazy. I'm selling huge numbers of that on my story. It's absolutely insane how many that comes through. It completely took me by surprise. Everything is doing really well at the minute, and I think that's partly because people are at home and they're not going out. They're not spending money in restaurants and on takeaways, and they're not going into shops and spending money on clothes, and they're not spending money in the hairdressers and the barbers and places like that. So they've got they're saving money, and disposable hobbies is where that kind of money is going to. So I see it going to carry on for a long time.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So we are mostly caught up here. Bobblehead Brett says, Jay, do you enjoy Maltesers? I don't know how to pronounce that.
Maltesers, yeah. It's a British chocolate made by Nestle, I think. Yeah, I do enjoy Maltesers, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think we call them something different in the States.
The little balls of malt, crunchy, aerated with chocolate around the outside. Really nice,
I think we call them Whoppers or something. Or
sure.
He
clarifies actually. He says he meant minstrels. Okay, I do like minstrels as well. They're kind of like a crunchy candy shell with chocolate in the middle. Although I prefer the ones that used to come before that. What were they called? Vice versas, where you used to have a white chocolate one with a white chocolate outside with a milk chocolate center, and then you had a milk chocolate outside with a white chocolate center. Those were really good vice versas.
I don't think I'm caught up on my malted candy lore. Oh man. Anyways, that does actually catch us up on our Q&A. So I think now's a good time to actually head out. We did cross the 2-hour mark. We had a pretty concise show today, so pretty happy about that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. Any closing thoughts today, Jay? I'm gonna get set up. Sorry to ask you a question that immediately and very rudely interrupt you. That's absolutely my style, I know. I'm not going to forget to raid someone this time, because I keep forgetting to do that, and there are usually other keyboard streamers streaming these days, so...
Definitely.
We're gonna raid someone.
Come and check out the build stream on Sunday. I'll be building my TMO, my new workshop keyboard, TMO V2 in polycarb, which I'm really, really excited for. Going to be using marshmallow switches, and that's going to be a really, really good build. I'm really, really excited for that. It's going to go with the new PCB I built on stream a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, really excited for that. So come and check it out on Sunday.
Heck yeah. Like I mentioned towards the beginning of the stream, I do have an HBCP polycarbonate build in the very near future. I kind of tackled that before, but ran into some issues. But once I have the new stabilizers in, so I can finally do that. Once I get the lube in, I can lube those up, and I can build this hopefully within the next couple days here. But of course, I'll make an announcement in the Discord, link below, of course. So make sure you join that Discord if you want to come talk about, I don't know, cookies or socks and sandals or keyboards or tropical summer beach themed sets. There's something for everyone there. So come hang out with us, and of course sub to our YouTube channel, link below as well. You can catch all of our VODs going up there about 24 hours or so after the fact. And so it looks like Minterly is streaming, so that's who I'm going to be raiding. So I'm pretty sure she raided us last week, so time to return the favor, guys.
Nice. Yeah, let's do that raid. Let's raid Minterly.
Yes, let's do that.
Always good fun watching.
Stand by, guys, and stay tuned. We're going to go ahead and raid Minterly, and we're going to give her wholesome compliments. I have no idea what she's doing. I haven't looked. But she's probably doing something keyboard related, so make sure to go show her some love, and have a good time, and make sure to check out our upcoming build streams and other content, and join the Discord for updates for everything as well. Have a great rest of your day or night, everyone, and let's go say hi to Miss Minterly.
See you guys.
While this raid powers up, and I roll the outro, I guess.